Good evening again, folks. We want to welcome you all to another edition of my Lutheran Connections. Today is the first Sunday in November, and we have a very packed studio. But today we want to. Today is a special day. We want to welcome officially a new addition to our team in person of Sis Kopo Sile. Kopo Sile is not a new name or a strange name to the Lutheran Church in Liberia. So, Sis Couple, we want to welcome you. Today we have our ambassador. The ambassador is there in Freetown, Sierra Leone. He's joining us. And also we have our dear brother from the very cool state of Connecticut. He's in Danbury, Connecticut. We want to welcome you again, Big Josiah Jokai. We want to say welcome. Today we have a very packed studio, like we said. Hopefully our Reverend will be joining us very shortly. But not to take much time, we will be going to Danbury, Connecticut, the very cool state, very next to the North Pole, where we have our brother seated pretty tight. Josiah Jokai, he's going to be steering our ship today. Brother Jokai, how are you doing?
I'm doing very fine. I'm doing great, folks. Welcome to another edition of my Lutheran Connections TV discussion. We have a full house today. We have a panel of experts who will be helping us to better understand our topic today. If you are there in Liberia, you're there in the Americas, North, South, Central, Eastern America, we want to say welcome. There in Canada, in Australia, in other parts of Africa, Lusaka, Zambia, specifically in Nigeria also, where our friend Agawaya is well seated. We want to welcome everybody to today's broadcast. It promises to be great as usual. So today we're going to be looking at an interesting topic, and it's the question: is the assets and verification process off to a rough start? Probably many of you are saying to yourselves, it's pretty much early to be asking such question. And you are absolutely right to be asking such question, right? The committee was just constituted by the bishop and his leadership, and it was equally endorsed or approved by the executive council in its last Banga sitting. That's in Bon County, Central Liberia. Well, here's why we are asking the question. Since the committee was established, without even going into the verification process, every week, dramas continue to unfold. Take, for example, 2 weeks ago, we learned from our sources in Monrovia that more than 40,000 United States dollars was siphoned, at least by the accountant and the cashier. This is already public information because the matter is before the Liberian National Police, and our understanding is that the suspects will be charged and sent to court. We also learned that the treasurer of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, through her attorney, requested for the deferment of the verification exercise. We display and discuss the treasurer's attorney's letter in last week's discussion as well. Remember, everything we discuss here, we always show you the receipts. If you think that's all that we're going to talk about today, then you are still dreaming, because we have a set of brand new developments for you today. Now, we are also learning that just before the news broke about the stolen $40,000, the treasurer made a deal with the suspects for them to repay the stolen money through salary deductions. Our understanding is that the suspects have already started paying back and have paid more than $1,000. This is quite dramatic. So here are the questions that linger. Did the treasurer really reach such deal with the suspects? Was the bishop and the leadership of the Lutheran Church aware of the reported repayment arrangement with the suspects? Or did the treasurer unilaterally make the decision? These are questions that linger, and don't bother, just stay tuned, because like I said, we have a panel of experts who are going to make us better understand this today. Also, we are learning that the treasurer, through the attorney, has informed that she will not cooperate with the verification exercise, claiming that the process is illegal. In short, they are saying that since financial reports, including other reports, were reviewed at the past convention and endorsed, there is no need for a follow-up. So that's the point. And we have the receipts to back this up. We're not just saying it from the blue sky or saying it in vacuum. We have the receipts to back it up. So the letter from the treasurer's attorney to this effect is currently in our possession. Again, we see this as a major legal struggle revolving around the access and verification exercise. So we don't expect the treasurer or the Bishop Patmos leadership to comment on these issues, at least for now, because of the legal implications. However, it is our responsibility at this network, it's a duty for us to keep you abreast of these developments therefrom. So to help us break everything down today, we have a full panel of experts, a legal luminary, a financial expert, and a former executive council member. We also have our hosts, all pretty seated in their studios there in Liberia. We have Couple Sele who just joined us. We are so proud, so excited, so happy that we have a female voice on this team. Couple, we want to say welcome. We have there in Freetown, Sierra Leone, the ambassador, as usual, is well seated and ready to shoot with his thought-provoking questions. Here in Connecticut, Danbury, I'm here well seated, your humble servant, Josiah, and then there in Atlanta, Georgia, Willie, they say we don't say Atlanta, we say Atlanta, Georgia. Willie is well seated.
Yes, pretty much it's Atlanta.
And ready to go. Hopefully, we might have Abel or Reverend Yakpazua joining us during the course of the conversation. But for now, to jumpstart the conversation, I'm going to go over to our studios there in Freetown. Is the ambassador on right now, Willie?
We do have our ambassador here with us. Our ambassador is going to be, he's all set.
So I'm going to get the ball rolling with the questioning. And this is how I'm going to start, Willie. So the whole issue must start with the leadership arrangement. Ambassador, I see that you just came. I'll be coming to you shortly. So let me just take advantage of that little slip that you did just now, so I can shoot the first question. Right. So I'm trying to equate the structure of the LCL leadership to that of our national governance structure. So, we have the legislature, we have the executive, and we have the judiciary. So those are the three branches. If you look at the structure of the leadership, the governance structure of the LCL, you will, let me say administrative, that is because we are a religious institution. So you will realize that the executive council can be equated to the legislature because they oversee the making of statutes, laws, in addition to the constitution of the church, and they give approvals as well. So the Bishop Patmos leadership setup can be equated to the executive, meaning that they have that enforcing authority, that enforcement authority, implementation arm of the leadership. And then you have the legal team as the judiciary, if you want to equate that to the tripartite governance structure in terms of arrangement. So that is what we have. And I want to establish that from the beginning so that we have a context. I want to put a context on the conversation. So here is the thing. The treasurer's attorney claims that the executive committee does not have the power to approve the assets and verification exercise because the financial and audit reports were approved by the convention. So if there are concerns about financial misappropriation, the leadership cannot seek verification. Is that what we're saying, Attorney Mulbah? This is how we want to welcome you, Attorney Mulbah. That question goes to you, the first legal question. Is that what we're saying, that the verification, I mean, the Executive Council does not have right to approve any verification exercise?
Okay, thank you. It's good to be on this broadcast. This my first time also. It's good to be here. So go back to what you said earlier. The constitution also confirms the fact that the Executive Council is the legislative governing arm of the LCO. That is in Article 13, Section 1. Article 13, Section 1. So it confirms that.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that is constitutional also. I was just trying to say that in the context of the tripartite arrangement. I didn't know that.
But Josiah, this is a legal luminary. So you have to do a research before coming.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that research. So in this discussion, I will see why I think that the letter from the legal counsel of the treasurer is not what it should be. But to answer your question, I will go to a straightforward and say no, that is not the case. Because first off, the law says what is not done right is not done at all. The lawyer letter says that the document, the audit report was the report of the treasurer was audited for 5 years in a row. Now, mind you, the report that was sent to the auditor included the financial statements, the bank accounts, and everything that was given to the auditing firm. The auditing firm said, based on the document provided us, based on what is in the account as per the document shown to us, they are correct. Now the team treasurer who made that report came back and said, we realized that from January to now, the money that should have been in the account is not the one in the account because these persons have been stealing. That goes to say that the document we provided to the auditing firm is not what the actual document was. So it nullifies everything that was done.
So it means the information.
In this concept,
it means, Attorney Mulbah, so it means the information that the treasurer provided to the auditors was misleading.
It was misleading. It was based on the misleading information provided by the auditing firm that brought the auditor report as well. The auditing firm used the bank statement provided. And I can tell you that the bank statement, for inside information, the bank statement for the bank was taken author by the accountant and brought to the church. The author bank statement was the one provided to the auditing firm. So any report coming from the auditing firm based on the author report, which was fraudulently procured, it's not the real report, and it's false. When the church realizes that, the church says we can have an audit done, and that is true. Again, this committee was not established as an audit committee. Though per se they will do some audit, the committee said, the letter said they have to do verification of the documents and our physical asset.
So I want to stop you right there. Let me stop you right there and ask you on this. You touch on my second question, and Ambassador, you are going to be the next to ask another round of questions. But let me just try to conclude, my questioning with the attorney. Attorney, here is the thing. So are you trying to say that Bishop Padmore and his leadership made a wise decision by naming and styling the committee the access and verification? That did not say audit as opposed to audit, they said verification. So in short, you are saying that was a wise decision that they made to name it verification committee. Is that the point you're trying to make?
I can confirm that, yes, as a verification committee, that's a wise decision. Furthermore, to do an audit, like the legal counsel said, two audits cannot be done in the same year or for the same period. But when you realize that the first audit was fraudulently done based on false statement, false document, that undermines the credibility of that report. So every organization, every management will seek to have an audit redone. But the LCR was not rushing to say, we strictly honor mine that, let's have another one. The LCR say, let's do a verification of our assets and our document. And mind you, the constitution says the treasurer is the custodian of all assets of the LCO. The letter to the sorry, let me just jump the gun small. The letter to the treasurer did not even invite us for investigation. I have the letter, will be sharing. So all the letter, the from the legal counsel, they were just jumping the gun. The letter informed her that they have been appointed to do the verification audit, so they request the treasurer to provide an office space and a list of documents by October 31, 2022. They list the documents. There's nowhere in that letter that says we also invite you to come for investigation.
Wow.
So I know question will be coming, but I just want to say this and say that because of the form, the quoted.
Folks, we will go over to Freetown, Sierra Leone, where the ambassador cannot wait. Where the ambassador cannot wait to jump in here. Ambassador Tablo is all yours.
Joe, thank you so much. I hope that with time we'll be able to have a stable internet for the lawyer, because he has a lot to unravel. And I hope I was getting ready to go to the next question, but when he comes back, I hope you permit me to ask him, because
absolutely.
So I would want to go to former President Elijah Zina and to ask him, Mr. Zina, you were once a member of the
ambassador. I don't want somebody to accuse Zina. I don't want somebody to accuse Zina. You said former president. Zina was former youth president, but former executive member. Please specify.
Yeah. former youth president, and former executive member. As a former executive member, Mr. Zina, I would like to know from you, what is the role? Can you clearly give us an insight of the role of the executive committee as it relates to the issue of acting in between convention? Can you please give us a rundown so we have a clear understanding and our viewers can also have a clear understanding? What is the role of the executive committee in between convention?
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I got some guests at my house, so that I can't stop them from talking. So I had to move up to the bedroom. That was just me kind of holding my iPad in my hand and also here. But it's good to have us on this platform to provide some clarity around the discussion that's ongoing. So the Constitution of the LCL gives the executive council the legitimacy to act between convention as the legislative body for the LCL in the absence of convention. So, Article 13 and then Section 7 duties of the executive. And then you look at J contains that the executive council shall draw up guidelines for periodic evaluation of the treasurer and general secretary and make recommendation for retention or removal of the treasurer. So the executive council has by the constitution, has the authority to do a periodic evaluation of the treasurer. So in my opinion, the executive council was not in the room by appointing this verification committee. And the constitution also gave the executive council the right to appoint and to remove and to do pronouncement on behalf of the LCA in the absence of the convention, and also report to the convention. And that is all spelled out underneath the duty and function of the executive council. So, it baffles me when I see the councilor's letter the defense counsel letter to the LCO. Um, for me, it just kind of like somebody who's playing a scare tactics. You know, if my character is being pulled into the mud and I know that I'm clean, in order to adhere to due process and clear my name, because there are a lot of assumptions around the situation. People are dragging the bishop, dragging the treasurer, and dragging the general secretary, that these two individuals over the period on a review wouldn't have done this thing all by themselves, but rather the leadership of the LCO. And like the council was saying, the LCO constitution clearly states that the treasurer is the chief custodian of all accounts of the LCO. So you go to executive council and you report to the executive council about all of the church's own accounts that they have both internally and externally. So how is it possible that over there from 2020 up to now that you were not able to detect that this happened? So if I was in the shoe of the treasure, the Bible says we should say the truth, and the truth shall set us free. Face the reality. Don't play a witch hunting game and take it as though that, oh, the people coming against me. No, nobody coming against you. This is an institution. A new leadership is in office. They want to know exactly where they are as an institution as it relates to their assets. Yeah, audit was done. And now there's an uncovering of a thievery within the system. So you, as the chief custodian, there's no way that you can negate yourself from the process. You will be brought on to answer questions. So if it was an oversight, admit that it was an oversight and take responsibility of the wrong and work with the current team to make the wrong right and right the wrong. Because all the time we always make these mistakes. We don't take responsibility of our action, but we see it as a wish hunt. And as I read as I
Okay, thank you so much. I think
Mhm.
thank you so much, sir. I think you really gave us a clear a view of, giving us a fact constitutional background or reliance on what the executive council can do and what the executive council cannot do. And I think you attempted to answer one of the questions where the letter, the response to the Asset Verification Committee, the law firm, Rice and Associate Law Firm, was stating that that the highest decision-making body is the convention, and therefore, if the convention is not inserting, the executive council does not have that right, to establish said committee. I think you clarified that. Is the lawyer back now?
And that is no, he's not back yet. And when I read that in the defense council communication to the committee, I was like, how is this dude reading the constitution of the LCO? If for any reason you jump over Article 1 of Section 13 of the Constitution that says that the executive council is the legislative body that acts on behalf of in between convention or in the absence of convention, then how can you come and say that the nomination or the appointment of a convention approved by the executive council is not constitutional? That's questionable. I question your own legal understanding of constitutional document.
All right. Okay.
So I was like,
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Joe, for Joe Roberts, that's my second question to you, and then I will rest and maybe the co-host Joe will tell us who next in line after me. Joe Roberts, you are a financial expert. Educate us. If you uncover some quote-unquote unscrupulous action, within a process, for example, auditing processes, is it wrong for you to re-audit? Secondly, is it a matter of any accounting system or accounting standards that you must audit in 5 years? And if an auditing is conducted in 5 years, there can be no other audit until or unless you have the next 5 years to come. Can you please educate us on the standards, auditing standards, and vis-a-vis what we are discussing as it relates to the letter saying that audit was conducted 5 years, and therefore it is likely not possible for another audit to be conducted when the 5 years has not lapsed. Can you please clarify?
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, being back on this very beautiful network that we have that dedicate us and try to bring some other, resolutions to some issues. First thing is that auditing, there is no standard time to say, this is the time you can only do an audit. No, there's just nothing like that. So, and also you can also redo an audit. There is no rule that say an audit that is done cannot be redone. In fact, when I read the article, let's just go back to what we're talking here. Okay, the Constitution, I mean, the church constitution states that at the end of the year, the church make the report. So this is the body that make the decision. That is at the end of the year. But if you read the Constitution of LCA, the church is supposed to make report several times before even the annual report time. And during those times, if you look at the uncover money that was taken away, we started from January to September. What happened to the reports that the treasurer was doing during that period of time? Why was it not covered at that time before you going to the convention? Now, if you take a report to the convention, this is what you gave into the convention, that the report is accurate, and you want the convention to act on it. There is no time within the convention where people are going to go, and some of these people at the convention are not finance or accounting or auditors. They believe in what you're giving them. So if you give them a report at the convention and it is accepted, and then later on found that there was some error, I will use the word error right now, there was an error made in your report. That report is no longer a valid report. And that report can be re-audited. It can be re-audited. So in fact, I'm surprised where the issues, the treasurer or whoever is making the issue that this is witch hunting and other things. In fact, they should be at this movement, it should be their concern that the report we presented to the convention is misleading. Totally misleading. That will mislead the people and they put it on a report that has an error in it. So you go back into your own home. One of the things that I didn't see that why we do not have an internal auditor. There should have been an internal auditor before an external auditor comes in. And the internal auditor duty is to make sure that all corrections, errors are corrected before an external auditor comes in. When the external auditor comes in and verify the audit report, before you can take it to a convention, there's a whole lot of trend in there. And so for them to say, oh, an audit is done, it has been accepted, agreed at a convention, therefore we can revisit the audit, when in fact there's a report of close to so many thousands of dollars been stolen from January to September, and it was not disclosed. Yes, you can revisit the audit and redo the audit. There is no standard rule that to say that and when an audit is done, you cannot do an audit within 5 years. Now, people make they set up every institution set their range of when they want to do auditing. That depends on if your audit is accurate. But when there's an issue of an audit can be re-audited. Let's go back. In fact, I just want to go back on the ad hoc committee that in the letter, the legal team is talking about. The ad hoc committee does not have the responsibility to do the verification that they are doing. If you look at the ad hoc committee, an ad hoc committee is generally understood to be temporary in nature. We all know that. But the executive committee and the board established an ad hoc committee. So if the executive is a decision-making body of the institution, they have that right to create an ad hoc committee to perform a specific type of issue. Ad hoc committee are only established when there is an issue raised. It's when you develop the ad hoc committee. And also when the ad hoc committee completes its works and determine that the need and problem its issue cannot be addressed by the executive committee, they cannot create a standing committee. It's when a standing committee comes in. That is to say, the ad hoc committee, which is brought in to do a specific work because of a specific issue under the direction of the executive body that has that power, goes to work, and if they bring that result, the result cannot be the result still has issue to be addressed. It's the time you then create a standing committee. A standing committee can be created anytime, which will be voted upon by the board or whatever governmental is set up. And that standing committee then has the right to prosecute, to request for prosecution. But the ad hoc committee has the right to also bring out a case against an individual, against an entity. They have that right. And the standing committee can then pursue a legal case. So the ad hoc committee set by Bishop Palmo came in because there was a specific issue of concern. And that was approved and given the blessing and the power by the executive to do their work. So when I read the legal letter written that they do not have no right to do it, that is totally wrong. Totally wrong. It's misleading. They have that right. But they cannot take they have no right to issue a law or issue a legal issue against whoever the perpetrator are. Only a standing committee, and the standing committee will only come up if the ad hoc committee cannot resolve the problem. And that standing committee is then created and voted upon, and then they have that power to do that. So let's just make that clear, straight. So let's go back to the audit. Definitely, from my perspective, the audit report that was given should be the bishop should immediately call it non void. That come from the executive committee. They can determine that because the report is wrong. This is just the first phase of discovery of what happened. That's a red flag, red order. In fact, the outgoing staff or executive or whatever title they give themselves at this moment should, in fact, call the new administration and say, we have an issue of our report that we give to you, and the report was wrong. Can we do an in-house investigation to find out what's going? That should be the appropriation. This is not a wish hunt. I stated in there. What make it a wish hunt? You're talking about close to over $30,000 in embezzlement from an account, and you calling it a wish hunt. The evidence is there, and you have people who have proven and agreed to it that, yeah, we stole the money, and these are the financial people of the institution. That should be a red flag to you. So, yeah, the question is, they can be re-audited.
Thank you, Joe. Josiah, it's over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jerry, for your round of questioning. Thank you, Attorney Mulbah. Is Attorney Mulbah on? Attorney Mulbah, are you on? Can we get you?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Jerry will be coming back to you with a follow-up question. I will also do, I know Willie will do later, but for now, we want to go to Couple. Couple, you are most welcome. This is your first time on the show. You are going to take it from me right here. Couple is over to you. Couple, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Choka. Thank you, Woody. And thanks to the team for the acceptance. I'm so much grateful to be a part of this work. Let's keep the ball rolling as we are discussing the topic. It's the access and verification process of a rough start. For me, the issue of verification, even when audit is conducted, there are findings. You can even verify those findings to see whether the office or the administration is in compliance with those findings or in compliance with what has been recommended by the auditors. So for the legal man letter to come out and say they don't have right to do that, for me it baffles me, because you're looking at procedure. So where is the internal control system? Okay, assume that you don't have the committee, but you should have an internal control system. So how did this 40K came about? So the treasurer voted for them to set up the committee before she disclosed that this 40K is missing, or she disclosed it with in-house administration before the committee was set up. So these are questions that will come to people's mind. So there is no control at the central level. There is no control. One person can do everything. He read the check, he encashed the check, he reconciled, and at the end of the day, he fetched the report in his favor. So where's the control? So if the treasurer did her work around integrity, then why is she afraid of this committee? Simple. Give her the committee requested for the legal man said the committee only requested for a space and those supporting documents. So what's the fear? What's the fear? The fact that I don't know whether that was disclosed with the lawyer. The fact that she sat with those people to come up with a payment plan, it means she already entitled herself in the issue. Why you keep up with a payment plan with these people and you did not disclose what was happening? Only when they set up committee, then you come out, you say, oh yes, and this is that the people they are already paying the money. Why? She was not fair with the church. This is a church, and even the lawyer, I don't think the lawyer even advised her properly to come up with that letter. If you look at the count, there are a lot of counts. If you look, there are a lot of counts. If you look at count 10 of the lawyer's letter, what they talk about the review the how they call it, the committee.
Absolutely, couple. Absolutely, couple. You are right. You are right, couple. 100%. The points you are making, and that is why we have the former executive council member here, the finance person, and the lawyer here to help us understand. Do you have questions for them?
Yes. So it is the bound duty of the treasurer to account for the LCI assets. Yes, we all know that. So my question to the legal team is, can we wait when a decision is taken at the executive council? Can we wait to go for convention and approve them before it can be implemented, or we start the implementation before going to executive council? That's one question. And another thing, those who have served at the executive council level, there have ever been a time that decision have been taken or committee have been set up, and this committee have started working before going to a convention for approval, because that is the lawyer reliance.
Okay, so we have Elijah to know that question. We have Elijah to know that question, couple. Elijah will know his question. Then the lawyer will answer the first question you asked. So we give the lawyer a chance to answer that question. Then from there, Elijah will come in with his response.
So Joe, before the lawyer can come in, let me just throw one on him. Then he can just answer both of them together, please. So
Attorney Mulbah, did you know the first question from couple?
Yes, I did.
Okay, wonderful. So Jerry, you can ask the next question. That's a good way, to use time effectively.
Anthony Mulbah, thank you so much. And I think you were putting some things in perspective when I heard you talk about the letter written to the treasurer, inviting her to send a list of documents and providing office space. And then obviously we saw a response from the Rights and Associates stating that she cannot appear and all of those things. But as a lawyer yourself, do you think that the Rights and Associate representing the treasurer in a response, do you think that they had too many information to the point where they were forming opinion? Is that how you gave a response? As a firm representing your client, you put in bewitching, witch hunting, and in fact the verification and asset committee does not have the competence. Don't you think they were giving too much opinion? Don't you think they were forming an opinion already? That's the question.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. Obviously, I can tell you that I agree with you. The legal counsel for the treasurer went beyond what a lawyer would ordinarily have done. Um, it's, it's just unfortunate I wasn't a part of the show the last Sunday, but I can tell you first off that the letter from the Writer Associate contradicted itself in many ways. And then you went forward, they form a lot of opinion, there are a lot of things. It's like he was speaking passionately, like maybe he was taking himself in a shoe of his client. But there are a lot of issues with the letter from the legal counsel that we cannot even adhere to. Few of you will see there are three places in the letter. The first place he said that a client cannot adhere to the committee and will not partake. There's another place where he spoke of the client will participate because he does not want the client to be suspended or anything. And then at the closing, he said the client will participate, but in a limited way. And then when he comes to say this is wish hunt, how can this be a wish hunt when you obviously from the initial stage has said money got missing? So which one will be out of the blue? There's no reason, there's no basis for which the LCR is trying to do a verification. But in this instant case, then I agree with the speaker earlier. An audited financial report was provided to the convention for the past 5 years. Those reports provided were based on the documents provided the firm by the treasurer in the financial statement. It will interest you to know that the accountant is the one who goes to the bank to get the financial statement. Where is the control? When in fact, if you look at the duties of the treasurer in the constitution, they say it's on Article 11, Section 11B, the second line. He or she shall receive and disburse all money of the SCR and keep an accurate account of all his or her transactions. Only by the fact that the treasurer reported that beginning January to September, money were being taken from the account, for which he gave report in April, saying that no money was there as it was reported in April. It shows that she will not keep an accurate account. And that is the basis for which the LCO or any management will decide to do an audit. So the choice of words used by the legal counsel about bewitching and thing, it was poorly used. I think it was poor choice of word. Also to say that the convention is the higher legislative authority and every action should be overseen by the executive council. Yes, that is true. But the constitution also provided, under the same section that talks about the officers, it provides that Article 11, Section 5, the officer of the LCR may be removed or dismissed by the convention for a cause. However, prior to the convention, the executive council shall take appropriate measures to protect the interest of the LCR. If we agree that the executive council in this instance was taking appropriate measures to protect the interest of the LCR, one, by verifying all statements, all documents, and assets of the LCR, it means that for the constitution, the executive council was performing its role. That means it was competent enough and authorized to do what it did. So to go to bewitching, to go to saying that the executive council did not have the authority, that was beyond the point. I think sometimes there are some lawyers who can be so passionate and sometimes listen to a lot of what the client say and come in. If the lawyer actually read the constitution, if the lawyer actually going through the happenings, I think maybe he will frame his words in a different way than what he has here. And going back to the question raised by Corporal Sede, I just answered anyway. The executive council can take steps in the absence of convention, in protecting the LCR, in running the day-to-day activities of the LCR. The constitution named the executive council as the board of directors. Now, every action under the corporate law of law, every action of a corporation of an entity is done pursuant to the resolution or the decision of the board of directors. So if the executive council is the board of directors of the LCO as per constitution, every activity done by the LCO should be directed from the executive council, which is the board of directors. And this board of directors is because we have realized that the report made in the April convention it does not show the actual account, the actual happening of our bank statement. We want to do a verification. That there is no which one in it, and I think the treasurer and or her lawyer, they was jumping the gun, because if the letter says, sorry, I was trying to see if I could upload the letter to this platform, it's not coming. The fourth paragraph of the letter from the committee. So the treasurer say, you are requested to please secure an independent office space for the work of the committee. In addition, kindly assemble the attached list of documents to facilitate a smooth working of the committee. Now, if the legal counsel for the treasurer had read this letter as he said he read, he would not have included in the first paragraph of his letter that you requested that our client submit to a financial asset verification and physical assets verification committee on October 31. Because they didn't ask us to submit, they asked us to provide documents. If the documents are provided and they request her to come, that is another one. But like Elijah said, the work of the treasurer is now put on the balance. Because it says that she did not perform her work accurately, the report provided was not done accurately. And there is no system of control if the accountant is the one doing the report, if the accountant is the one making deposit or issuing deposit, and then he goes for the account statement in this modern world, where we can have the LCO, the TV officers of LCO receiving bank statement from the bank, including SMS messages on how much is deposited, how much has been withdrawn. If we cannot have that, the system of control is poor, and I agree that the verification tool needs to go on.
Thank you.
If I answer your question, let me stop there for now.
Thank you, Attorney, and thanks to everybody for the first round of discussions. Our viewers, there you have it. We have the experts today. We have Brother Elijah, former member of the Executive Council. We have Attorney Mulbah. He's a legal person, and we have Joe Mulbah. He's a financial expert. They are all here to help us better understand this issue from the various perspectives. I just want to let you know that our Law Bishop, the Right Reverend Dr. Victor G. Patmore, is watching. He already sent us greetings that he's watching from his end, and he's greeting us on the show. I just thought to relay that to everybody. We also have so many brethren here watching, they following very religiously. But Attorney, before I go to Willie is going to be up next for another round of questioning. Yes, Joe.
Okay, I just want to make something clear here. I'm just doing a research right now on if an audit can be re-audited. They said a revision of an audit report may be warranted in certain instances involving reasons such as apparent mistakes, wrong information about facts, subsequent discovery of fact existent at the date of the audit report, and all original reports are taken back from the auditors. A report should especially bear at that time in the audit report. Now, when you re-auditing an auditor, for every document you take from the auditor, you have to put a stamp called review audit report.
Right.
So these are the instances when you can re-audit when these situations come up, this misleading fact. So yes, okay. It is stated that you can do that. Just want to read that out.
Great. So
and
more
Joe,
justification. Yes, Elijah.
Couple eyes to question,
yes,
and one was
Elijah,
for Anthony.
Couple's question, yes.
And to answer to couple's question about whether the executive council have set up a committee in the instant where there was a particular situation, the answer is yes. And I will give you an instant. All of you guys can remember vividly after the LTR convention. After the LTR convention under the late Bishop Harris's leadership. After that convention, there was a big conflict within the LCL, and a resolution committee was set up by Bishop Harris, endorsed by the Executive Council, to set up a mediator committee that was headed up by the then Ambassador of Liberia for Sierra Leone, Ambassador Harry Bannock. And that reconciliation committee went ahead, which was an ad hoc committee they went ahead and executed the recommendation given them from the executive council to bring all parties together to reconcile the church. So, in case in instances where there's a conflict or there's a concern within the LCO, the executive council acts in the absence of convention and empowers the bishop to do the work of the church. That's why the Constitution says that the executive council have a trusteeship. It has a trusteeship.
Elijah.
Yep. Are you guys hearing me? All right. So the LC, the executive council has a trusteeship to take care of the church. So in this situation with the verification committee, like I earlier stated,
All right, folks. You are watching my Lutheran Connections TV. Today's conversation we have is the asset and verification committee or process. I'm sorry, it's the asset and verification process.
Transmission. Was that a breaking transmission?
Yeah, you are kind of a little breaking. Go ahead, Mr. Zina.
Okay, so as I was saying, the executive council of the LCO has a trusteeship responsibility to take care of the LCO's business in the absence of convention. And in the instant where there's a concern, there's a problem, the executive council empowers the bishop to take decision in the direction that will correct these things. And this is just one of the many instances with the issue of corrupt activities within the LCO. But because as a church and as people of Liberia, we are so used to business as usual. So when a person come out to hold people accountable, and then it's been termed as witch hunt and hatred and everything else. And if I was the people involved in this situation, past leaders and current leader of the LCO, I think this is about time that the past leadership will be able to work with this current leadership of the LCO and say, look, I think this is something that was an oversight during our leadership. We didn't see this coming, but I think we got to work together and make sure that the perpetrator of this crime be brought to book and the necessary action taken. But because people have an assumption, oh, the past leadership, some people got farms, some people got gas station and other kind of thing. I wouldn't want to jump to conclusion and say, oh, they stole the LCO money because they got gas station, they got houses, and that's the money. No, I don't want to jump to that conclusion. But in order to clear my name as a former leader of the LCO, what I will be doing right now is to join the current leadership and provide all necessary information to my disposer and say, this is what I did. And if I did not catch this during my tenure, I am sorry, I take responsibility of it, but we got to hold the corporate to book and make sure that we find solution to this problem. And that's how a person who knows that they've made a mistake, take ownership of that mistake. But we don't learn to take ownership of our mistake in Liberia and in the church as a whole. We all want to do the business as usual. You do the wrong, we see the wrong, and we say nothing about the wrong. If we say something about the wrong, you are being witch hunted. And which is so bad for the church. The church got to be the church. You got to say the truth, and the truth will set you free. And that will stop.
Absolutely, the truth will set you free. I can see that Elijah is very passionate. Elijah is very passionate about this, and we appreciate it.
And Joe, I was about to ask him. I said, Elijah, you're getting fussy. You talk about gas station and all. Where are we coming from?
I know the audience highly appreciate that, Elijah. But here is the thing, folks. We'll be going to Willie shortly for his round of questioning. But let me just bring up this. So what I'm gathering is that the church's legislative body is the executive council. The executive council, within the means and bounds of its constitutional authority, was able to give approval to the verification, the access and verification process. So there is no question there about the legality of the establishment of the access and verification committee and the process to proceed as anticipated. The other thing is that the legal luminary, Atty. Mulbah, made it very clear that the letter in his possession from the verification committee to the treasurer was clear and specific. Provide us space, office space, and provide us a list of documents that we need to facilitate the verification process. So first, what we are gathering is that the treasurer refusal, the failure of the treasurer to even provide office space, and the failure of the treasurer to even provide the requested financial documents amount to both legal and administrative violations. Whichever way you take it. So besides even the misappropriation, the mismanagement, the siphoning of the 40,000, those are additional violations, I'm sure. Attorney, am I right to say that? Are those additional violations because not abiding by what the authority of the church, the executive council, has instituted? Does that amount to not only disrespect, or undermining the process, the verification process, because they may consider it that amounts to undermining the entire process, your failure to cooperate with something instituted by the executive council. Anthony, please help me understand here. Is that the point?
Yes.
Can they hold
Mr. Jonker, you are right. That's the point.
Can she be held in legislative contempt, executive contempt?
It will interest you to know that her lawyer also on count 21, when you are giving the reason why she will comply with the committee, listed some of the reason as per the LCR constitution. He said that the suspension or impeachment of an officer of the LCR may be effective for the following reason. See to that says conduct as will subject he or her to disciplinary actions in the LCR or parish of which he or she is a member. So the conduct here of the treasurer in refusing to provide the office space and allow the assets and document of the LCR be verified as per the mandate of the Executive Council, subject her to disciplinary action as per the LCR constitution. That is one. Two, the labor law of Liberia is called the Decent Work Act. Yes. The Decent Work Act says that a person can be terminated for cause when the person has either carelessly or intentionally caused the church to lose a property or amount. In this case, I'm not saying that the treasurer did it, but by the fact that the treasurer could not have control over the finances of the LCR where she should have control, she carelessly, let me use the word, and the one that is in the DOA, she carelessly allowed the church to lose money from 28 to 40,000. That's a huge amount. That is a ground for termination. So like Elijah was saying, if they call you to come to aid in investigation, clear your name, I will be willing to do that. But with the issue of which one skipping, I want to talk about it. People are saying that the bishop carrying the information to the Executive Council was trying to wield them. But it is part of the duty of the bishop. As per the same Article 11, Section 6, bishop and duties of the bishop. An except of B say he or she shall see that the constitution and bylaws and all policy of the LCO are duly observed. If you go to F, they say he or she shall take cognizance of misconduct and or neglect of duty by any officer, minister, or staff member of the LCO, and if necessary, bring it to the attention of the Executive Council. So this was a neglect of the duty that he was bringing. It will not only go to the treasurer, but also to the accountant and to the cashier. So it was part of his duty to inform the Executive Council. 3, JSA, he or she shall take oversight responsibility of the office of the General Secretary and the office of the Treasurer. So in my mind, and I will say for myself, if the bishop who have known of the happening, which is within the office of the Treasurer, and it was not reported to the Executive Council, it means he has not taken oversight responsibility of that, and for which I could also hold the bishop responsible for it. So when the bishop performing his duty as per the constitution, there's no wish on it.
No, Willie, I beg you. The lawyer has to make us understand here. When you say the bishop who has oversight responsibility for the offices of the treasurer and the general secretary, failure to report the matter to the executive, are you talking about the current bishop or the former bishop?
I'm talking about the office of the bishop. if a bishop gets to know that there is gross neglect of duty in either the office of the treasurer or that of the executive
Okay.
or the secretary, and does not inform the executive council, that bishop is in breach of his or her duty, and he's now
That's
performing his
all.
oversight responsibility.
Yeah,
For which we hold the bishop liable.
and Joe, you could you could also say you call it the bishop fiduciary responsibility or due diligence. That is what should happen.
Exactly.
If you don't play that role, and one more thing, Joe, before Willie will go to you. Willie, sorry, it looks like we're marginalizing you. But before we go to you, Willie, one more thing Joe Ramos also stated. Joe Ramos also lay a bare to us that yes, and let it go clear that yes, it is possible that if there are some level of disparity being shown and declared and discovered, we audit can be conducted at any one point in time. This is something that we need to take into consideration. This is something because for me in my mind, I was just facilitated to the point where I understood it to mean that when it's conducted within a period of 5 years, until after that 5 years term, nothing can be conducted. But it was good that we got him to be able to clarify, do his research and clarify to us and for the audience. You see that? So I don't know where the right and associate law from. I don't want to cast judgment already, but I think they were forming an opinion to as opposed to a simple response on why or why not the clients could appear. But they were already forming an opinion, and I thought it was too much to chew. So I don't understand, Yeah.
Willie, it's up to you, Bob. Willie is Jerry. You notice something today? Willie is officially attired.
Yeah, yes, and that's smarting.
Yes,
giving all the chance to marginalizing.
Yes,
and very happy. They're laughing.
Yeah, I mean, you want to know why I'm laughing, and I would say publicly on this platform that come Saturday, November 12th is my birthday, so I start the week before. So yeah, this is why you see me laughing. But let's go to the conversation for today.
Can you bring yourself on the screen? Make it larger. Let's see you, Willie. You can hide yourself.
Absolutely.
Please expose yourself, Willie.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to do that.
Willie, I hope you're not wearing necktie and everything. Then you're wearing box out there because we can't see down.
No, I'm fully. I know. That's the work from home. I know that's the work from home style, but I'm so this question goes to either of our three guests. Anyone can answer. So, having listened to brother, our financial expert, brother Robert, and listen to brother Zina, and also my dear friend and brother, the Antonin Mulbah, talking about the financial missteps, and then also our sister Kopo with her financial background, talking about how one person is doing everything. He's like balancing, he's moving things around. This brings a question to mind. Then should we have office of the treasurer? If the accountant is doing everything and the treasurer is not monitoring it, which of course the treasurer is the CFO, and in an institution, the chief financial officer, in addition to her duties like the custodian of all of the properties of our church, should we still have that position available? Then my next question, which is also an open question, if an agreement had been struck with allegedly an agreement has been struck with these guys who have agreed to committing crime, they have admitted. It's almost like someone sin and go to God, say, Lord, I am a sinner. There's nothing about it, and they have admitted that they are criminals. If she had made an agreement with these guys to repay the money on the basis of salary deduction, how would that be quoted? I mean, that's my question, and either of the three can come in. Maybe starting with Joe. Maybe starting with Joe Roberts.
Yeah, and I think
Joe
Willie wants you to help us understand. Willie wants you to
Right.
help us understand if this is a standard practice. I think Willie wants you to help us understand that.
Yeah, first thing with it is those position, the treasurer, the accountant, the clerk, those positions are needed. I would suggest, I won't recommend that they be removed. I think the problem is financial structure. There's a serious problem with the financial structure over there, because having these two people going to the bank and doing the withdrawal without nobody knowing for so many months, there's a problem with the financial structure that is in place that the treasurer is handling. Because the treasurer is to do quarterly financial report, and also to the executive, and then annual financial report. So quarterly report within this period of time, and you're still not discovering what your accountant and your cashiers are doing to the account, because you have to get the bank statement, you have to balance it. You got to balance both your bank statement along with what your accountant is giving to you as a treasurer before you can submit your quarterly or biannual reports. So what happened in between then that you are unable to discover those things? So there's a financial problem. And then the next year is that the LCS should now think about having an internal auditor, because the purpose of an internal auditor, an auditor can help you to spot potential risks and draw plans to reduce them for the better feature of the business. That's why you should have an internal auditor for. So it is time that LCS should start thinking about an internal auditor. This is a simple example, because if there was an internal auditor auditing the financial structure of LCS, these things would have been discovered a long time, because that's the purpose of internal auditor, before even bringing an external auditor. But if the institution only depending on external auditor, yet they will run into this situation. I'm not holding anybody that there's something that went on, but let's just take it from that perspective, from errors. I would just put it from perspective of error. If the structure that is built has an error in it, and there's no internal control system, and there's no internal auditor to help to bring in these to help these errors and fix it for the future, you will continue with that same thing. And there's a loophole. This is where people use loophole. Internal auditors stop loopholes. If there's a loophole out there, when you take the financial report, these are numbers from 0 to 1. If you take the data out to the executive, they are just looking at data you're giving them. They are not talking about how the data was created. They are not looking at how the data was created. You can manufacture any kind of data and take it out to the executive. They just look at it. And as far as concerned, your bank book or the end balance is good. But this is where the cover all comes from. And only an internal auditor will be able to unearth these things and also fix it before an external auditor comes in. Because when an external auditor comes in, the report that you're giving to the external auditor is what they're going to act on. Yeah, they have the right to go and ask individual in there to make sure that the report you're giving them is correct. But the question then now asks is, these external auditors that are coming, who are they speaking to? Are they speaking to just the treasurer and an accountant who has created this report, and they can defend their report? Because the external auditor does not have the time to find out. They will ask some questions to find out the detail, how you came out to this lump sum or how the expenditure went about. But before then, these things can be done and fixed. It's an error. It's an oversight. Can this thing be done? Can this thing be fixed? So, but whether we are question that these positions, yes, these positions are needed. That will also help with transparency. So the treasurer can check on the accountant can check on the cashier. That transparency. You need those three financial structure to be put into place. Than just having one. The problem was not the structure. There was the policy, the procedure that has been taken that went all the way down to the convention until the convention was misled. And perhaps the external auditor too were misled based on the document that was given to them. So it is the structure. It's a structure problem.
Willie, do you have a call?
Just make a follow-up and stay to just in followings of what Brother Joe Robert is saying. Any institution that is run without a system, situation like these will always happen. And whenever I talk to people in Liberia running system, Willie, brother Josiah Junkie, all of you guys are over here in the US. You work with different institutions, and you know how system works over here. If you don't have a system, and you know, you don't have a tracking system of your data, and automatically you have these kind of mistakes. And if you see the treasurer running today, she might be totally innocent of this thing, but because she did not have a system to track it, and she's placed in a position where she's not able to defend herself and come out of this thing, they turn it into a witch hunt. But I hope, like you said, the bishop is watching, and other people in leadership of the LCL, they're watching. They should be taking clue from this discussion to start fixing the system in the LCL. Because if the LCL does not have a financial system, I don't know what financial system they're using, but if you have a financial system, because you know there are some projects in the LCL, they only have account with the LCL, but the whole financial process is outside the LCL financial system. And that's the reason why many projects within the LCL have fallen to defeat today, because there was no check and balance from the central office. So those projects, they ran their money, and the money went down the drain, and nobody could account for it. And today, partner withdraw from those projects, and those projects are struggling today. But if you have a financial system that all of the projects and institutions, their financial activities are tied to that system, and you have somebody who have a back door to that system to monitor transaction on the system. So I'm not saying somebody would not steal, but the issue of somebody stealing and going this long period of time, it would not happen because it would be cut in between. And even with the treasurer right now, she's ready in a hot seat because, like the Constitution says, she's the custodian. She's supposed to report on all of the properties of the LCR, on all accurate account and everything. And how can you be reporting to the Executive Council for all these years? And how did you generate your report without not noting that this identical account is being depleted, and without even reporting about it? Only when a committee is set up, and now you get to say, "Oh, the money lost and the people paying for it already." It raises a lot of questions. It raises a lot of questions, and that's what I'm saying. If I were in her position, I would be adhering to the committee and providing all of the technical details that I have in regards to these accounts, and how I was monitoring them, and how did I fall between the track, and how things are the way they are right now, and how can we fix them. But in order to fix this, it is not only the accounting system, but all of the project people are running projects and institutions on their personal computer. The bishop, the treasurer, the general secretary does not have access to the information on their personal laptops. So the LCR should be graduating from the point where people are running their businesses on their personal devices. The LCR should give them computer a system that they are all tied to. So when I fire you today, I'm able to retrieve my computer from you and get all of the data from in it and be able to investigate you. But people walk away with data, and you're not able to retrieve the data. You're not able to investigate them because you don't have a system put in place.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's very good, Elijah. Having a system is very good, and we all understand it. And there are different systems. The LCR can explore the different options and try to set up financial management system where you don't have physical interactions, people taking paper trail. You can just have an electronic system in place for effective financial management system, and you can also have control. Even if somebody decides today to check out, it's so easy. They can check out without any damage or harm to the institution once you have a system in place. So yes, we agree to that. One major recommendation I think Joe Roberts made was the idea of having an internal auditor, which is very important. Not just here in the US. I worked for an institution in Liberia before, and they had internal auditors. So there were checks and balances in making requests, from generating the request to receiving the money and retiring the money. There was a system in place because your request first has to go through the auditor. The auditor has to check to make sure that your request is consistent with your program. And the particular line item that you are generating the request from, it has to be consistent with the nature of the request, even before the request goes up for review and approval. So the LCR needs to have a system like that in place as well. And there are electronic systems that can help that work very, very effectively. But we have to go back to Willie. Willie had a flow. If Willie doesn't have a question, I think Willie can use the rest of his time. Folks, couple, Jerry and Willie, does that make sense? Willie can use his rest of the time to display the comments and recognize our viewers.
Yeah,
and then if
viewers,
they are questions, if they are online questions, we can take the online questions and we can have our experts to answer the online questions. So,
absolutely.
Elijah, Attorney Mulbah, and Joe Roberts, when you see any online question, please note it. We will keep it up a little bit, for like 60 seconds so that you can know the question and then you have time to answer. So you can go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And quickly before I go to the reading, quickly, I just want to make a quick point that Brother Elijah spoke about. It's not only even the laptops, but email system. Okay. You cannot have, like an announcement placed for an institution and have someone send application, to, for example, williecover@gmail.com. I'm representing the LCL. The LCL central office or the secretary office, you have an email address so that when their secretary leaves, someone else should use the same email address. Okay. Yeah. But you cannot use my personal email address. But I also just want to commend publicly the Dean from Monrovia District. He posted in one of the chat rooms that going forward, no one should use his personal email address for any official, communication regarding the church or the office that he's serving as dean. Instead, they should use this email address, and he published the email address. I think this is something that everyone should follow. Okay, instead of sending communication to personal addresses or using personal email addresses for official function, that office should have an email address. I just want to.
I think you should add that it should be a system-wide process. Probably
right. It should be a system-wide process. Yes.
Elijah, they can use Outlook. I mean, they can set up Outlook.
Exactly. Microsoft Outlook. They can do something like Microsoft Outlook.
And that works.
Outlook is very easy and it's an inter-office communication tool. Right. You can use Outlook, and Google setup is very easy. You can get Google account for everybody. Yeah, right. It's easy.
Yeah. And so I like the fact that the bishop is watching, and the bishop is watching. The bishop said they're taking note of this. I mean, I like the fact that that's happening, right?
Yeah. And before whether you display, just to hammer that home, it is something like that we're using also in our institution.
Absolutely. So it's not only unique to the US. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is so very unique to the point where we are being requested all official matter goes through that.
Yes.
All our laptops are being marked by the institution, and in fact, the institution, when we leave in the institution, you turn all the assets over, including the computer. You don't take anything from inside.
Exactly.
You turn everything over, and the system is set up, and the IT is monitoring.
Yes.
Ambassador is getting interesting. A lot of questions coming in. Let Willie display these.
Let me go to those questions quickly.
And our experts will help us to understand. Help us to understand. So please take your pen and your paper to take note, please.
Yeah. So quickly, I just want to recognize our viewers. The former president, Brother Royal Jerome Jala, want to recognize you. Our sister Marlene Mulbah. This is the wife of our senior brother J. Benedict Kakula. We want to recognize Marlene Mulbah, and we want to recognize the director of the National Lutheran Youth Fellowship, the Reverend Pat Nazo. We want to also recognize I think he's the vice president of the Monrovia District. Elijah, help me, please. Okay, brother.
I don't know the position.
The National Men Fellowship. We want to recognize you.
District Men President.
District Men President, Koko Doublesing. Thank you very much. Speaking of J. Benedict Kakula, there he is, the senior brother J. Benedict Kakula, our bishop, the Right Reverend, our Lord Bishop Victor Patmo. I have to take my own time as a senior acolyte when I'm pronouncing his name.
Oh God.
Yeah. Our father, Beyan G, we want to recognize you. You are there from Painesville area. And also our mother, Liga Beyan. And also Brother Stephen Corva is following there. Sister Sombali Smith, Mother Dede Howard. We want to recognize you. And our dear fellow Melipale K. Sumo.
There you go.
Manipele case. I don't speak any
just
of
wanted
them.
to
I don't
pick
speak Loma. I don't speak Pele, but Manipele.
I just wanted to tease you guys. That's what I want to do. Melipele Sumo, Melipele K. Sumo. I know you very well. And our dean, speaking of the dean Thomas Jala, and I would display her message again because she wished me happy. And listen, I also want to display the message of Mother Howard, because this is her brother, her cousin Joe Roberts. So she's so excited to see him, Dada Howard. So she is so excited to see him. Yeah. Quickly, I will come here. So for our viewers, our guests, this is the first set of questions. So that's the first one. You can take note.
Did the treasurer collect already $1,480 from the two alleged criminals, and where did she put the funds? Does the auditor take confirmation letter from the bank for each account before proceeding with audits? Those are questions from the dean, and that's going for our financial pricing and the auditor as well. If Elijah can chime in, he will do that.
Okay. There is a question in this statement. So what level of information provided there or here? Okay. Is it possible to get the individuals involved to come on the show to explain to us their side of the story? We will try to do so, but this is with the state.
At this point, no. At this point, no. When it becomes necessary, we'll do that because there's a legal process ongoing.
Yes. The next one is from our dean also. He said, what is the accounting software that is being used by the treasurer and her staff? So that's for, that is for the, okay, hopefully I did not miss anyone.
Elijah or Joe Roberts can talk about that.
Yeah, Elijah or Joe can talk about that. And also our Reverend Pitt, the former dean of Monrovia District, he's also watching. And also the Reverend Eric Doe. Eric Doe is watching from Cinco. I understand he's the chairperson of the education.
He's the director.
Director
for LCS.
Yeah, talking about education, Willie, let me say this before you go. We are already gathering some information on the ELCA scholarship program. There is something nefarious that is happening, and we will be lifting that very soon.
Very shortly.
We will be talking about that very soon, just to alert you. Yeah, Willie, you can go on.
Okay, our brother Abba Sama. Abba Sama is watching from Monrovia. We want to recognize Abba Sama. And also today it seems that our Reverend cannot be with us today.
Hey, Reverend Yakwazua.
Reverend Yakwazua is there. He's a great job.
We miss you.
And also I still want to flag my dear sister, and she said that her name is Zombie.
That name is Zombie. Willie, you are in problem with changing people's names. Willie?
You know what? Actually, I was excited until I shared the wrong text. But anyway,
we have more. We can't go through everything. And some come,
we can't go through everything.
Did you see the bishop coming? He said we were studying that. Did you see the bishops coming? He said we studied that.
Let me go back up there quickly.
Bishop, he said we studied that. That is significant.
When
we need to show that.
When Elijah was making a comment, he said, Elijah, you are right. We will study that. And I think it's very, very important. Yeah. It is good that he's taking note. It's good that he's taking note. Hold on. We have.
And as a matter of fact, we are having the bishop next week, Willie. You need to say that.
Yeah, Bishop is coming. Bishop is coming next week, right after my birthday. He will be doing a special benediction. In fact, we will have the bishop. Anyway, let me just keep that.
Do you have a call? Do you have a call?
No, not yet. But no, not yet. We don't have a call in yet.
Well, what do you want to say? Say it. Let's move on.
No, I see Elijah smiling too much. He actually want to hear what I'm about to say.
All right, but I want to
go ahead. We can go ahead.
I want to go with Anthony again. The Anthony Law.
Our Anthony is back.
I wanted to answer the questions. I wanted to answer the questions that they took note of.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Gary. Yeah,
also,
Elijah, I think you guys took note of the question. Who wants to go first?
this is Joe. There was a question.
Okay,
There's a question that a treasurer is, in fact, taking money from the perpetrator. Now, I think this is a legal issue right now. In fact, the treasurer has a lawyer. At this time, I don't think the bishop office should allow the treasurer to. This is almost like manipulating a case. You cannot seek a legal attorney to defend yourself. At the same time, your institution that you're running is under investigation, but then you are at the same time trying to resolve the problem when we do not know the full detail of the problem. I think the bishop office at this time need to have the treasurer totally examine herself from this case until the entire investigation can go up, because this is her office. These are her staff that admitted to doing some wrongdoing that she was unable to uncover during her training. Training when she did this report. So her entire report is on an investigation. At this time, on an investigation, she cannot be the same person going and taking money. If the report that is stated here that she took money, that is totally wrong. It's a case already impending. It's a legal case, especially where she also already have a lawyer defending her. So the bishop office at this time, in fact, I would suggest to the bishop office at this time to create an internal auditor to handle this issue right now. In fact, we read a letter from the lawyer, from the lawyer. In fact, the lawyer did admit that there should be an audit done. But what they're saying here is that they do not want the ad hoc committee set up to do that, even though they misunderstood the power of the executive giving to the executive. To the ad hoc committee, they misunderstood that. But let's just take it from his perspective. He is saying that an audit should be done with another auditing firm. Okay, that's fine. Well, we can have an internal auditor in. But with the scope of the situation right now, to have the treasurer trying to resolve her own error her team has made, it's just inappropriate financially. It's totally wrong, because you are likely to be unable to uncover other issues which are called financial errors, or maybe a structure that is put in place that need to be corrected. At this time, I mean, I won't hold her to say she embezzled the money. There could be some problem with her administrative way of handling the financial something, but the future of the institution for LCA, they need to bring an internal auditor to handle the entire issues out. The possibility that there could be some other error in the financial structure that she might not have noticed to deal with, to correct it during her tenure, might not be uncovered if we just leave it like this. So at this time, the best thing she can do is, work with the internal auditor and come up with a report and find out why these reports were not given to her before, for her to submit that during her quarterly reports. And that's one of my concerns. Why doing this quarterly report, these things were not discovered? The next thing is that I do believe that the financial structure, the LCA do have departments and agencies or organizations running, all of them are budgeted. So what is happening to these agents at the organization? Are they not looking at their monthly budget expenditure? If this is not happening, this should go into place. That any institution that LCA is sponsoring, that doing some operation for LCA that is budgeted allocated, they should be able to look at their monthly report and make sure that their expenditure and income is balancing. That will also help financial control. When you wait until at the end of the year to bring your financial report, you do not even know your income that came out and your own expenditure. That would be a problem. So the various sub offices group or agents or whatever the LCS have over there that have budgeted allocation to run their project, they should be giving monthly report so that they can know what they have in there. So that's one of my recommendations. But at this time here for the treasurer, while there's a case, I'm told that this has gone up to the national police. It's not a case. And for the treasurer to be in fact, this is her institution that the error took place, her institution that need to be investigated, should not be at the moment taking. She can go ahead with her other duty, but not this scope when this thing is already up on an investigation. She should totally be out of it.
Wonderful. Anthony or Elijah?
Oh, To the next question, I wouldn't say question, but what Brother Gerard just said, because he's right about everything he just said. And to the next part of the question about what financial system the LCA is using, and that's the number one question we all are asking: what kind of financial system the LCA is using? Because and then how are they using that? How effective are they using the system they're using? Because I know QuickBook is one of those popular financial systems that a lot of institutions are using, and it's very effective in bringing in consolidating accounts and everything else. So if the LCA is using QuickBook, that is the most popular and most up-to-date financial system that a lot of people are using, we wouldn't be having this situation right now. Also, if they are using QuickBook, and how effective are they using QuickBook? And then also, I know most of our institutions in Liberia, they boil down to using Microsoft Excel. But how are you using Microsoft Excel also boil down to how you made mistake? Because people bring the knowledge of just working in Microsoft Word, and you bring the same application to Microsoft Excel and just enter data without leveraging the lot of opportunities in Microsoft Excel that can consolidate different accounts and give you a summary of what you're looking for. So that would be a question to ask the leadership of the LCA to evaluate the system they're using right now. If they do not have a good financial system that they're using, they should be buying a financial software system that they'll be able to install and pay for a monthly subscription that will have a cloud. Because right now, Outlook, QuickBook has a cloud, and the cloud storage system will back up your files and everything. So if there's any discrepancy, you want to go back into the cloud system and able to retrieve that document, and you know where the mistake came from, and other kind of thing, and you can store your information into the cloud. So that would be the leadership responsibility to kind of look into the kind of financial system they want, and also train the people who are using the system to be able to leverage every part of the system. Because you can have QuickBook and you don't know how to leverage the functionality of the system, and you would just underperform because you don't know how to use the system. You can use Microsoft Excel effectively, and you'll be able to reach your potential based on your knowledge of Microsoft Excel. But the limitation of people to operate in the different systems also brings problem to the institution.
Well, if I can just add to that, I mean, you can use any kind of software to do your financial report and anything.
Okay.
The software are
For
just instrument to be used, but the data entry is done by an individual. It's done by a human being. So it doesn't matter what kind of software you work. Yeah, we have some software that make it very simple for you to find out, to analyze things, verify. That's why people buy expensive software to make it easy. But the data entry is where the problem comes from. If someone is putting a wrong data entry, the software will come up with a result. Does that mean that result is accurate? No.
Accurate.
So the problem is the data entry that people are putting in. Are they fair? Are they putting the correct one? Are they putting something wrongly into the data entry that coming up with a result that you can print and take it to the executive? The executive will just look at the top balance and look at it and just see the closing. Most executive meetings, they want to know what's our end balance. What do we have our end balance there? What was our expenditure? What was our income? And those are just overall summary that will be going to, most, it's going to, very few times people are going to the detail, and then those details come from the data entries, who are putting those, and that will come from their content. He's putting in the data, and the treasurer need to read those data to make sure the data are correct. Yeah, I agree with you to improve the software, but improving the software will not solve the problem if financial structure or well educated people are in there to be told what to do and how to do it and what they are doing. And also, again, to have a financial control system, an internal auditor is needed because that will help to prevent a lot of things.
Right. And it requires commitment. Also, you can have all of the require assets that you need, but you need a commitment also on the part of the people. So, Anthony, you want to chime in, Anthony?
Yes, I want to get it.
Yes, couple. Before the Anthony comes.
And you also need segregation of duty. You can't get one person doing like everything. You will see there will be no control, so that person could do anything with the system, and nobody will notice it because he's alone to look after the system.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anthony?
Yeah, okay. In regards to the system being used by the church, I know that the LCO has the QuickBook. I know they use QuickBook. And why I agree with Joe and everyone that we need the check and balance, the food system. One of the issues the LCO is being faced with right now is the integrity of the individuals that employ and use this system. That is one issue we have to go to. The issue about the treasurer, if she actually took money from these guys who are already involved with this case in the hope of trying to settle or mitigate the damage, it goes against the code of her duty. It goes against the code of what she was employed to do. Because beyond ensuring the accurate finances of the church, she needs to ensure the financial integrity of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. So if there is a problem that involves our finances and that they were misappropriated, and the first thing she does is not to come and bring the issue up to have people investigated, but to go and have them return the money, that is a conflict of interest. It's a breach of her duty. It's something like it's very grave to the church. Imagine things that will happen, and then the treasurer will go and say, let's try to face it, let's try to do it. I'm not saying she did it, I'm saying if the information is true, that goes against the code of what she was employed to do. And it makes the church afraid that things will happen, and the treasurer might, maybe things might even be happening that is beyond this that we do not know about. And it's the reason why the church needs to do the verification of all our documents. If the information is true, my first assumption will be, has this been happening? And what has been the treasures growing it? And if it comes out that she actually did this, then I agree with what Joe said, that she needs to recuse herself from the entire process, have these guys investigated, and it will also mean that the church, the Lutheran Church like before, will also have to do an investigation with the finance department, the office of the treasurer, not just those two guys, because we even go beyond them.
Exactly.
All right, good.
Good. So
Thank
we
you.
go to Freetown right now. Jerry?
Yes. Thank you so much, Anthony, at law or Mulbah. I mean, you are lifting some very serious issue. But let us go back a bit. I think I heard you stating that the letter written told the treasurer did not ask the treasurer to even come before the verification committee. The letter provided two issues. One, gave us an office space to operate. Two, gave us a list of documents that we can begin with.
Jerry, I agree with you. Jerry, can you let Willie read a letter like you suggested initially? Jerry,
Okay, Willie, go ahead.
From my
Willie,
eyes
read
are
the
not
letter
as
there. I
fresh,
would go with the
are not as fresh as yours. Willie. Willie, you are muted. Willie, you are muted.
Sorry. The letter dated October 26, 2022. It says that Anthony May Peter Kanakai, Treasurer, Lutheran Church in Liberia, and the address, Dear Madam Treasurer, I send you warm Pentecostal greetings in the name of the Trinity, trusting that you are doing well. The Committee on LCR Assets Verification received a communication from the Office of the Bishop of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, dated October 24, 2022, of which you were copied. Predicated upon the information contained therein and the gravity of the crimes alleged, the committee now attaches urgency to proceed with the verification process. In view of this, the Asset Verification Committee forwards you this communication as an engagement notice for the commencement of the assets verification exercise foreseen for Monday, October 31st, 2022 at 10 a.m. You are requested to please secure an independent office space for the work of the committee. In addition, kindly submit the attached list of documents to facilitate a smooth working of the committee. While I anticipate your timely consideration and cooperation, I remain very truly yours, Anthony Sandra P.K. Howard, Chair Lady. And she CC the Right Reverend Dr. G. Victor Patmo, Bishop, the Right Reverend Dr. D. Jensen Sianklo, Bishop Emeritus, Anthony Patterson Small, Chairperson of the legal team, and the Reverend J. Louis G. J. Louis G. Patmo McKay. I'm sorry, J. Louis G. McKay, Bishop Assistant. So that's the communication from the um, from the office of the committee from the chairperson, Madam Howard. So that's the communication.
All right.
And we have the list here if you want me to show you that to screen that as well. If that
No. I just wanted a letter so I would understand
the list of documents requested.
Yes. We also have that.
Okay, show the list. Show the list.
We do. Okay, we do. We can screen that. So documents needed to be assembled in the verification office. 1, financial policy, old and revised copies, chart of accounts, current, bank reconciliation, statement of all accounts from January 1st, 2017 to September 30th, 2022. Payroll copies, same period as number 3. All payment vouchers, cash book and other books, hard and soft copies, audited and unaudited financial reports, schedules of accounts receivable, schedule of accounts payable, income file of the following: partners, parish, convention, lease agreements, real estate, guest house, others, income seen. Notes: 1. With the exception of count 1 and 2, all of the above documents requested for covered the period January 1, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Number 2, we will also be asking for other documents as the need arises during and throughout the exercise. So this is the full document that was sent.
This sounds like a group of people who know what they are doing. Jared?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jared,
and like the lawyer response was saying that in fact the committee members of the committee may not have had the core competence to do all the things. The document requested for seems to be that the committee is well informed of what they want to do and they are in line with the TOR.
Jared will keep interrupting you, Ambassador. We'll keep interrupting, but this is for your own good. We got to be balanced here. Willie, are you able to just screen the dossier? Because it's not a letter, the dossier. We'll not read the dossier from the attorney. Can you just screen it for the viewers to see? We're not going to read. Then after that, Jerry can proceed. Yeah, there you go. That's page 1.
You muted, Willie.
I'm sorry. This is the first page from Rice and Associates, October 31st, 2022. This is page 2. This is page 3. This is page 4. This is page number 5, citing some references from past conventions. This is page number 6, and this is page number 7, and this is from Joseph P. Gibson, Counselor at Law, Rice and Associates. Anyway, McDonald Street, opposite the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, and they also sent CC copies to the Reverend, the Right Reverend Dr. D. Jensen Sianklo, Bishop Emeritus, the Right Reverend Dr. G. Victor Patmo, current bishop, and they also sent a copy to Anthony Patterson Smo, the legal team, Lutheran Church in Liberia, Mr. Victor Kido, General Secretary, LCL, the Reverend J. Louis Mackay, Bishop Assistant, Gonlu and Associates Incorporated.
That's Gonglo.
Oh, Gonglo. Okay, the font is small. The font, right? And also Anthony Yancy Colette Horton Sr., financial and account consultant. So that's the document right there we have on the screen.
Thank you. You see, what I was trying to put in perspective, I see that I think Councillor Jerome Colette wrote something that now I want Anthony Mulbah to look at. I wanted to know, because Anthony Mulbah said initially that the letter asks for lists of documents, 1, and 2, it also talked about the issue of providing office space. We read a letter, and then we discover that there is something in called formal notice of engagement.
Yeah.
As a legal luminary, does that mean they were also requesting her to be prepared or to appear before the committee? Because I see that the response from Councillor Jerome B. Colette did not end. But if you look at the last paragraph, he said, in this instant, if the treasurer has problems with the process and as such decides to contact a lawyer, and the lawyer responds as he has, I think, blah, 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 blah. He said, and continue.
Like how the lawyer has...
will come back. I trust Councillor Colette will come back with the remaining...
with the remaining stuff. But that is what I was asking, because I think...
And if you would, we can get him on the phone.
I think Anthony Mulbah actually did not tell us about, in the communication, they were talking about formal engagement. And so what does that mean if you are rating, as a committee or so, and you are a legal luminary? What does that mean when they say formal engagement, or they serve as a formal engagement? Does that mean that she was being invited? And if so, was she wrong going to seek the legal service of a legal firm? That's the first question I wanted to ask the Anthony. And secondly, I also wanted to know whether or not, or assuming or admitting that there was a hearsay, because it's still not confirmed. We have not heard the side of the treasurer, but there was a hearsay that the treasurer, because I heard Anthony Mulbah saying it, that the treasurer was the one that started to discuss and disclose these alleged financial misappropriation, impropriety. Could that be a sufficient grounds that the committee could hold her on so that she could be a credible witness as the investigation or the verification process is going on? Could that be a sufficient ground if it is true that she was the one who allegedly disclosed under her watch the financial misappropriation? Can she be seen as credible witness for and on behalf of the church to prosecute the cashier and the accountant?
Sorry, you are muted. Sorry.
Yes, true. Yeah. I was speaking fast. Thank you for the questions posed. To go with the on the engagement notice, if we read the wording of the letter, it says, in view of this, the Access Verification Committee forwards you this communication as an engagement notice for the commencement of the access verification exercise. So it's an engagement notice. Without imputing, they were clear on in beginning their exercise. What do they want that they commencing engagement? They want an office space, they want the document. But beyond that, let us assume that they want the treasurer to come. There is no wrong in going to your lawyer, whether during the time of an incident or where you presume that there might be an incident. It befits a person to go to your legal counsel and be prepared at all times. Our problem with the letter from the legal counsel does not go to why she went to him. It's all right to do so. But it goes to the content of the letter sent by the legal counsel in response to what has been said. Again, I will remain by saying that there's nowhere in this letter from the committee that has invited the treasurer for investigation. And to your point, Mr. Tabolo, the treasurer is essential in this case, in every way. And it's to the betterment and the benefit of the Lutheran Church in Liberia if the treasurer will stand as a witness and provide all relevant information, because the information are with her, to aid the investigation and check the appropriate finances of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, ensure and get us to know, including the committee or whatever auditing firm might be selected in the future, the extent at which money were illegally taken away from the accounts of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. She is essential. And if she provides the information and play a role in that way, it helps to clear her side and let the committee and whatever frame, including the church, to know that she had no part in what occurred. But if she plays the center, does not want to cooperate, when it is, in fact, it is with her, it is part of her duty to have the financial statement provided quarterly and should be audited. So if she will not have the document, and as the chief custodian also, she has to ensure all assets are intact. If the verification committee wants to check our assets and ensure that our assets as listed in the books are what are in actual existence, she has to pay that right. Who or which management will not want to have this done in the face of realizing that financial statements that were provided to the convention are not as true as they were provided? And to play safe for the Lutheran Church in Liberia, especially the Executive Council has to do that and protect the interests of the Lutheran Church, you have this committee coming up. So there is no issue with the treasurer going to her lawyer any time of the day. Our issue is what the lawyer has said here. One, that she was called to submit to the investigation as per the first paragraph. It is nowhere in this letter. They say our formal engagement. So you were appointed, this committee was appointed, it was established. So begin well, it is formally as a committee engaging the Lutheran Church in Liberia through the office of the treasurer, and say they serve as our formal notice that we have begun our work and provide our space, provide us this document. But assuming that she was being called to the committee, she has the right to go to a lawyer, but the essence and the content of the document does not go along with what was written in the committee's letter.
Thank you. And Anthony, you see, you clear our doubt, and that is the reason why we are happy that our mother and our father Mulbah send you to law school to help us, because because I thought when they say that kind of formal engagement means that they were inviting her, but you see the Joe the law, that's how the law logo. You ever say,
yeah, that's the start.
Yeah, we suffer today. But Joe Ramos.
Yeah, and if I can just
Joe Ramos, yeah, I was coming to. I know you want to say something, but you just add my question on it, then you can just come in.
Yeah.
So the committee, I mean, the response from the law firm already started casting doubt on the competence of the members of the verification committee. But as a financial expert, don't you think in order for us to have a fair play, the executive council should be able to also consult and or hire the services of another firm to come and do this process or conduct this process for how you call it, for fair play's sake, for the sake of fair play. Don't you think it will help the process to be more credible, to be more respectable, so to speak, going forward?
But I mean, the question to that is first thing, an ad hoc committee is set up because of a specific issue. So the first thing the bishop and the executive did was that there was an issue that needed to be addressed. Was it the time to bring in expert from outside, or is there an issue that can be handled? So you set up an ad hoc committee because of that specific issue. Then the ad hoc committee goes to work with the empowerment from the executive to do that. And as I said, once the ad hoc committee has completed their report and they cannot resolve the report, is when the ad hoc committee recommend for extended committee to take on that case. Just as the bishop, just as the lawyer was stating that he wanted a extended committee, but he failed to realize that before a extended committee is put into place, an ad hoc committee works, send their report, but if they cannot resolve it, then they recommend for extended committee. And the extended committee get more power to, a request for a legal issue. Ad hoc committee will not request, but they will just make the report. So it's not a wrong thing the bishop did to set this up, to come up with this funding, because it's specific. It's a specific issue, a case that we want to find out. And in fact, when we're talking about engagement, who else can do the engagement? It's stated that the auditor, or I would say the committee, will document their understanding of all internal control, and no one knows your internal control better than you and your staff. No one knows that internal control than the treasurer and her staff. That we help this ad hoc committee to work. So when they say engagement was that they needed her because she know her internal control, she knew her staff, she had the answer. That's not investigating her, but she know her entire internal control. The ad hoc committee does not know that at all. So and then when that is set in place, now the ad hoc committee can make a recommendation and say, based on this issue, we suggest that you bring in an internal or an external financial institution to help resolve the problem because we cannot resolve it. And to do that, you then create a standing committee, and then that standing committee now has a legal power to bring in an external auditor. And once an external auditor or any financial institution to come because the ad hoc committee could not resolve the problem. And when they get their final report, they can submit any legal proposal to the executive to be taken against the individual or an entity. So this is the right channel they are doing now, because let's remember that everything you do has expenditure cost to it. It's going to cost LCA a lot of money to bring in an external auditor. Is it warranted at this time that LCA spend this money to bring in, or is it something that internally they can resolve? That's how the ad hoc committee comes in, and it's temporary. It will be dissolved as soon as the tenure of the specific project has come to an end, and then it can move forward. So it is not a wrong step they did, but is it possible that a financial institution comes in and do these things? Yes, it is. Because if you look at the scope, it is going now, especially where lawyers and legal entities are not getting involved into it. The treasurer has the right to do that. That's the first thing you do when you are on a major investigation. You hire a lawyer without knowing the detail or the end of the event. That's your right to do that. She's absolutely right to do that. But then, unfortunately, that whatever law firm, the communication between the law firm and the institution is just questionable that we're discussing right now. But yeah, the channel is right, and if it doesn't, and if the ad hoc committee cannot resolve the problem, I would suggest, based on financial reasons, is that a standing committee be set up, and that can be voted upon by the executive and the board to have that standing committee active immediately, and then that standing committee has the power now to call out for some financial institution or external auditor to come and do these things, because they will be empowered to take legal issues. Ad hoc committee cannot take legal issue. So those channels are there. You got to follow those channels.
Wonderful. Our experts are doing extremely well, helping us to break down the topic today in the context of the verification process. The two letters that we display, the one from the verification committee and the response from the treasurer's attorney, they are all clear in terms of the messages. There are a lot of takeaways from the conversation today. Joe Roberts has been able to help us understand that it's possible that the information that was presented in terms of the financial document, the financial information that was presented to the auditing firm that conducted the audit, for which the report was approved by the convention, that information might have been misleading, leading to the omission of the financial impropriety, the saphoning of more than 40,000 that was done, since 2020 till now, this year 2022, which is a high possibility. The other takeaway is that a simple request from the verification committee is being rejected by the treasurer through her attorney. They are failing to provide an office for the verification committee. They are failing to provide the documents requested. And like our experts have said, no other office has that responsibility under the LCL Constitution to provide such documents other than the offices of the treasurer. So I think the verification committee was right by going that route and making a formal request. And I'm not a legal person, I'm not a legal mind, but when a request is sent to you and informing you that the information served as the formal engagement communication, that means that they are requesting for your cooperation. That means they are requesting for your cooperation in whatsoever activities that's supposed to be undertaking. That's from the layman perspective, and that has been backed by the attorney Mulbah. He indicated that yes, they are asking for cooperation in a sense, but not formally requesting you as a witness to be investigated in that respect. At this point, at least, that's how we understand it. Folks, we've been here for a while now. We've been here for a little over 2 hours. This is unprecedented, but the topic under discussion is very crucial to the survival of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. We all know that the church is in a serious, deplorable financial situation at this point. We cannot convince our donors and partners to support our projects and programs like before. We know there's donor fatigue, but still there should be goodwill out there for the LCL. That will depend on us rekindling the confidence and support of the partners. And one such ways we can do it is to make sure that there is accountability, in everything that we do in the church. Our books have to be current and they have to be balanced. People have to be accountable for what they do. And that is exactly what we are here for at Lutheran Connections TV. We are here to promote the work of the church. We are here to bring people who are entrusted with responsibilities to provide services for Lutherans in different departments, to bring them here so that you can question them, so that they can talk about the things they do, and we can promote accountability and transparency together. That's what we are established to do. That's our own way of supporting our beloved church, the Lutheran Church in Liberia. So I will go back to the attorney. And this is going to be my question here about how will you advise the treasurer on this matter if she was your client? Attorney Mulbah. Guys, I think we can take the remaining 25, 30 minutes, if that works, to be here, and then we can end the program.
Yeah. If there's no call, then each of us can just ask one question to end of the expert.
Yes, we'll go around. We'll go to couple. Yeah, we will do that.
Yeah. So after you, Joe, then couple, and after couple, in that order.
You're right. Okay. All right. Yeah, couple, you can set your question, couple. I'll be coming to you after me. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, attorney. How will you advise your client if the treasurer was your client? I know it's a difficult question, but how will you advise your client on this matter?
Sorry. Yeah, first off, holding a letter from the committee concerned as it is, I will obviously inform my client to provide the office space and provide the documents. It is, in fact, the core of our duties to provide those documents and the office space. When it comes to working along with the committee and ensuring her name, and that is the critical aspect. But if my client is free, if my client did not participate in any of those things, and she was the one who brought the people to book, I will advise her to ensure that the process, the procedure, every aspect of the treasury office comply with the investigation, go through the scope of the audit, ensure that for the period of 2017 to now, if there were any discrepancy, let's ensure that the discrepancy came as a result not from core office, but from those two persons. But in any case, we know that the fact that she would not have seen or realized the discrepancy goes also to a breach of her duty, but it is mitigated to that. Then to have it that you partook in the embezzlement or whatever the misappropriation of funds. For the sake of the church, for the sake of office, and knowing that this committee work needs to be done, however, the treasurer to not jump the gun, not presuppose anything or presume anything that has seen happen here, and aid the committee by providing the office space, by getting those documents, and as the principal person for the finance office, the chief finance officer of the Lutheran Church abroad, ensure that every assistance she can provide the committee is provided.
So in short, Anthony, you will ask her to cooperate, to fully cooperate with the verification committee.
Yes, I will ask her to immediately or as soon as possible provide the committee with the office space, provide them with the document, and work along with the committee to ensure that our assets and our finances are verified.
But to the contrary, if your client tells you the truth, the client is truthful and tells you the truth, confides in you as her lawyer, as her attorney, tells you the truth, tell you that, hey, on XYZ, I was responsible. I didn't flag this issue. I knew about it, but I didn't flag it. On XYZ, yes, I was involved. So I'm telling you as my attorney, and I want you to find a way for me to be exonerated. What will you say? That is my last, follow up before I go to couple.
Yeah, thank you. That is the thin line that lawyers walk. Sometimes it goes, and that goes to the integrity of the lawyer. Now, if your client has misappropriated funds or so, in the case we are assuming, it is good for a lawyer to help mitigate the damage and help to see how the issue is resolved short of litigation. It's not the responsibility of the lawyer to ensure that your client is right or is showing to be right in every instance. So in that case, if my client informs me that funds were misappropriated on her watch, or maybe particularly by her, I will call for a meeting with the bishop and then inform the bishop about incident proceedings and see. As a church, it happened because of XYZ reasons, and see how well we can remedy the amount and give the amount back to the church.
Okay, in short, you are saying you will advise her to disclose and then settle off outside of the court arrangement.
Maybe only with the bishop office I will disclose, and then see how well we can order the funds, ensure that if it is only that, ensure that is the only amount, and then see how well the client can pay the amount. Because if you delay, if you refuse, the church can still ensure that the order is done. It will still come and point to you, and then that goes beyond what you might even want or intend, and then go to your reputation completely outside the scope of what you could even manage. It's not a good practice anyway, but yeah, that would be what I would do.
That's good. That's good, Anthony. Jerry, Willie, and Kopo, you can see the comments coming in. Pastor P is asking whether the treasurer is under investigation. No, giving the context of the entire thing, there are a lot of questions lingering, and here you can, I mean, anything is possible at any time. So we are just reflecting. It's also a period of reflection. And Ototo is asking as to whether or not the verification committee is an auditor, or in short, an auditing firm. But I think if you follow the context of our conversation, you will better understand, Dr. Toto, that we are not speaking from the context of an audit. We are speaking from the context of a verification, which is clear by the name and style of the committee.
If I might judge you in, please, sorry for cutting off. What George Toto is saying, that the treasurer can provide the document that the office space, the LCO could empower the committee to use any property or space to carry on their work. That work that the LCO will do by providing property outside the LCO stays for under the scope of the treasurer. So whether the office space is provided outside of any property of the LCO, it still goes to the scope of the treasurer. So the LCO is providing through it is done through the treasurer office. That will say amount to the treasurer providing the space. Thank you.
The reason is simple, because the treasurer is the custodian of the assets of.
I was just about to state that.
Exactly.
It's that simple to understand. Right. Councillor Kolewe, everything he has written, his question is the one that matters. He said, do we still want to go voluntary? His question is what matters. Given everything that has occurred, that on the margins of the verification process, that theft has been uncovered, do we still want to go with a voluntary? Councillor Kolewe wants us to put this in a proper perspective. I think he wants us to do it from an institutional perspective and not just a committee. But that is another conversation.
Joe, can I make a quick point to that comment, please, or to that question, please? It's probably just less than a minute. What I would say is that if Councillor Kolewe had been following from the very beginning, our dear friend and brother, the financial expert Joe Robert, answered that question earlier. He said that the ad hoc committee, which is the asset verification committee, is only verifying the asset once they found out some issues and deem it negative. They will recommend to the executive council requesting for an external auditor. I think Joe Robert did mention that. So in the meantime, right now, they're only verifying the assets. Once they see some irregularities, they will let the executive committee know, say, hey, you gave us the job, but we don't have the power to do this. So we want you to send for an external auditor to come in here and investigate this, because this is what we saw. So I think Joe already, so it's not being voluntary for now, because it's not like voluntary or experts, but the committee, which are our church members, the committee is only doing just a piece of, and they're just ad hoc committee. So once they find some things, we will call experts, external auditor, and professional people to do the job. So they are not auditing, in short.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
Couple, are you ready with your question?
Brother Joe, Elijah here. As we are all going with the back and forth, the conversation is getting interesting, and I see the scare tactics of the lawyers, of the treasurer, and everyone else, and they're going like raising red flag, and like it shows that something is somewhere. I just want to read a quote from Susan Bertman book. It's called How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You Are Going. And she says in her book, the authenticity of any leadership action depends on the interior condition of the leader, on his or her ability to be true to self and true to the institution, to remain non-anxious, but to connect with the divine. So as a church, as a leader, with this allegation over your head, you have to remain non-anxious. But in this case, the treasurer is not in that position. She's anxious. That's why she's running to lawyers. She's looking for defense. She wants to harm. But you have to remain non-anxious, comply with whatever before you, and go through the process. We have to graduate from business as usual in our church. Like Brother Jerome just said, there's thievery here already. The fight has been established that huge amount of money is lost for the church. You cannot undo that. You cannot negate, or you cannot take the treasure out of it. She's involved. whether by negligence of her role or by submission of her role. She is in the middle of this thing. There's no way that any lawyer can take her out of there without her being an active witness in this process. So all she needs to do right now, and her lawyer, they need to take the LCA Constitution and start cutting it wrongly and adhere to what the Constitution is saying and face the real issue. Because when I read her lawyer's communication, it just says to me that, oh, everything you're saying is lie, so therefore our client cannot submit to the process. But you admit that there's a thievery, and then this process is going on. He said you will submit, but you will not submit, but you will submit partially. So where are we going as a church with this thing? How do we want to settle this problem as a church? We have to connect with the divine and be true to ourselves and be true to the institution that we serve, because we want to find the true nature of what happened. If people are involved and then those people are taken to the law and persecuted, our church could be set on the right trajectory. This will serve as an example to the current leadership. If anybody in this current leadership has the plan to steal, this will set as an example that will bring everybody a check and balance system where people will be held responsible for whatever they do to the church. This has been going on for a long time in the LCA, and people have been going with impunity. St. Peter Lutheran Church, Brother Jokai, Jogan, you know about the story of almost, I don't know how many $1 million, like brother walk out of the door of that church. The dead today, the people who were in leadership at that church, they cannot account for that money, and they walk in scot-free today. And today, about $40,000 we're talking, and the leadership, current leadership, is struggling. How can the partners be listening to a situation like this and still want to give that money to the LCL? So it is upon this leadership to come to bring to fruition this investigation and bring people to book and take legal action and set the example to make the partners to trust them once again, because the global economic crisis is hitting everybody. And if an institution is somewhere where people are stealing and nothing is being done about it, but they run to lawyers and stuff like that, and lawyers come and do misquoting of all the legal document we have. I don't know where we are heading with this situation, but all I can say, people got to be truthful to themselves and truthful to the institution they serve.
Absolutely, absolutely, Elijah, you are right. Wale, can you just put up the bishop comment, please? Okay, he said the committee is not only doing financial verification, but other things as well. So shouldn't they? That's a very good observation. So that's why it's called assets and verification committee. So and we say the same thing here, boils down to the same thing. When it comes to the verification process, there is no other person that the committee will have written first other than the treasurer, because the treasurer is in charge of all of the assets of the institution, plus the fiscal management of the institution. So I think that answers the question. In short, that's what the bishop is trying to communicate here. And that, look, the verification committee is going to cover all of these aspects, the fiscal and the other assets of the institution. So let's go to Kopo. Kopo, your question.
Yes, before my question, I was just like Bishop said, so they should not do other things. They are not only verifying, they're going beyond. So he asking, can they do other things? Like you see for the access verification, the issue of the financial statement audit, there have been false representation of financial statement to the auditor. So if they were real, the issue of the bishop resident, what we're discussing now, we're not even be discussing it. Because if you look at that bishop resident, they say to renovate that place, it costs $10,000. So if those financial statements were real, you think we'll be talking about spending $10,000 to go and renovate bishop's house? No, absolutely no way. We will not do that. And there is no way you can leave the treasures out. Even if they were going to bring an auditing frame today, that auditing frame will still request for those documents. They will still request for space. They will still request for everything. The treasurer will be the one to provide those supporting documents to present it to the auditor. So my question is to our expert, the financial expert. One of financial statement is audited for the past 5 years. And you notice something or you observe something. Is it possible to re-audit that financial statement or only that account that have been affected? Because if you look at the lawyers come in that letter, they are like restricting the central office. And even if y'all want to bring another auditor or y'all want to do re-audit, only this account that the money was withdrawn from, it should be audited. So what do you make all of that statement?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I read that statement. The first thing that came to mind was that he's trying to limit the damage for his client. That's what lawyers do, trying to limit the damage. What he failed to realize is that the asset verification has just started doing a work. And we talk about assets. Assets is a huge thing. We have so many perspectives of what we mean by assets of an institution. So there's so much going into it. But as a lawyer normally they want to focus on the client report at that moment. And he's stating that in interest of his client, that look, this is all we want to talk about. Please, we do not want to talk about anything else because this is what we want to talk about. But that's uh, that is not legal from the investigation that is going out. There are other things that could be on earth that is happening on her jurisdiction or her leadership and with her staff. So what the lawyer was doing was just as what lawyer do. That is just not legal. I mean, he can't stop that. He can say only this one. The access verification has the responsibility to bring out other things that they found out. So they're not going to pay attention to what that lawyer said. He's just doing that as a lawyer to limit the damage. That's what he's doing as a lawyer to limit the damage. Right? I mean, it's not going to do any good for his client. Just as the lawyer was saying, if I had to advise the treasurer, is to first thing try to talk to a legal team to start taking out certain word harassment and this and this. She should know exactly what is now happening on her scope. That there have been on close to $40,000 on her leadership, on her department. Um, if I were her, I won't even have a lawyer to say that's harassment in a legal in a legal letter to the entity that I have been responsible for that this misappropriation has taken place. I mean, I don't understand the law firm that she hired, why they doing all of these things. None of these things is important as far as I can read these things. It doesn't hold any ground. So LCA is not even going to pay attention to that. I know the legal counsel of LCA might have read this thing and just put it one side because just as we said, I guess he was just trying to make up some, writing letter to LCA that if you do this to my client, this is what we're going to do. Totally fair. And then in there also admitting that a crime was committed on his client leadership. He even admitted it in there. That yes, these people admitted to it that they did so and so thing on her leadership. She's the boss of them. So the first thing people want to find out in the legal and auditing firm is it's not what has happened. How did we miss it? This is what happened. 40,000 that has been stolen. But how did we miss it to come to this level? What happened? What was put in place? What kind of structure was put in place? Is where auditors start to think about that tomorrow we can prevent these things. So if I were her, the first thing I'll say is that just as the lawyer said, work with the team. If one of the best opportunities she had to work with the verification team is this is the best time she had to put all of her record into place when she worked with them. So that tomorrow in the future, if an external auditor comes in, you will be prepared to answer the external auditor because this is an opportunity for you with the access team right now to put into place things that will come legally in the future if it comes to you. If an external auditor comes now, they are very tough, and you're not even prepared to defend yourself. You don't have the room to defend yourself or putting things into place. That would, for me, having to work with the access verification, if I were here, in her situation, I would prefer to work with the assets verification team now, which will help me give me enough room and time to prepare myself if there's a recommendation from an external financial institution to come and do an internal auditor, or I mean to do an auditing on the situation that is existing within my department. So to answer you to that statement in there, that only this is just lawyer tactic they use because they want to limit the damage of their client. That's what he's trying to do. It's just a legal strategy.
Thank you. We'll go to Willie.
Yeah, thank you very much. So my attention has been drawn to the comment here from Councillor Jerome Collet, and when he made the comment about the asset verification, that lengthy comment, talking about voluntary or funding, using volunteers or funding experts to do the job. We gave a response on that, and he made a comment saying that that is not what happening here, and this is waste of time and resources. I'd like for our legal expert Attorney Beyan G. Mulbah to come in. Please weigh in on this comment, please.
Okay, thank you, Willie. I will also want the LCO to take in notice of this because it's very important. Most time when lawyers are preparing to go to trial, they prepare the trial strategy. And then you prepare the evidence you have, or what are those pieces of evidence you will need, what you want to show to the court, and what is the best way to get the judgment. In this case, the question will be, what is the best way that LCO can conclude its investigation and go forward? I still agree with the verification committee that is doing a good work. It was set up the right way and everything. But the question Councillor Collet is asking is important. First off is, if we have the verification committee report or findings come out, with the finding of the verification Hello?
Sorry, go ahead. I think someone's mic was open. Go ahead.
Okay. If we have the verification committee doing a review on the documents that the financial reports and things that were audited, they spot some of these financial deficits or the term things that they were not doing the right way. Will the findings of the committee be found out? That is a question. If the findings of the verification committee on the financial documents, say for instance 2017 to 2022, if they spot some irregularity and the findings will not be conclusive, we'll have to take the findings to the auditing firm. Will we not have wasted time, energy, and resources if the verification committee will check the documents, verify the financial report, and say, oh, these are problems. Those problems that was spotted will be sent to the auditing firm. It means then we wasted time and resources. Two, if the findings were brought forward and the documents sent to the auditing firm, will those findings from the verification committee be sent to the auditing firm also? If they will not be sent to the auditing firm, you will agree that even though we follow things is good for all, but then we wasted time because the auditing firm is starting anew. If they were sent to the auditing firm, can we say that the auditing firm, when commencing its work, was independent and free from any influence? No, when the document being sent to them, they will not be free from influence. If the documents are sent to the auditing firm, if the documents are sent there, and the auditing firm premise its work or begin work based on the document, will the result or the finding of the auditing firm not be challenged by the treasurer or lawyer? If it is challenged, we will not take away long term that we have. Does the LCO want to have the long term defending the case in court on why the verification committee findings on the financial report passed was important, why it was sent to the auditing firm? Because I would say that if the auditing firm received the information from the verification committee, it means its work was not totally independent. So then, if the LCO waste time and energy and might be trying to defend that, I would think the verification committee remain on the assets of the LCO, we have every document turned over to an independent or new auditing firm, because then the report from that auditing firm will not have any influence from the verification committee, or will not have anything from the LCO, because they started anew beginning 2017, and then the LCO2 can go and get the financial records from the bank, the financial statement from 2017 to now. You carry the present financial the financial statement from 2017 to now, the one you just got, with the statement to the auditing firm, along with the past financial report. If any findings come from that committee, it is independent and conclusive of the auditing firm. Now the treasurer and her lawyer cannot challenge that because it was independent. And if the verification committee is just verifying documents and verifying our property, our assets, it will be a waste of time when they come with all the funding, and then we carry also to the auditing firm if we intend to go to the auditing firm. So while I agree that the verification committee was set up well, I think the LCO will allow them to do the verification of our assets, the physical assets, the property, the office material, everything, and the issue with the financing, in order to save time, have our investigation concluded speedily, have that sent to a new and independent auditing firm. That's my thought.
Now, that's really thoughtful. But here is what I'm thinking, and you know, I'm very sure the outcome of the verification process will lead to some administrative or legal action, and that will only come based on recommendation from the process. So I want to believe that the outcome will constitute a set of recommendations to the leadership of the church, and any action taken will not be in isolation of the executive committee. That's what I want to think right now, as far as the verification process is concerned, and the outcome. While it is true that it's good to also reflect on institutional dimension of the process, but I wouldn't want us to also just dismiss the current setup and the process that's ongoing. Here's the point. The actual verification work has not even begun. The committee has not even received a letter. Now theft has been uncovered. Just by starting the process and announcing that verification is happening, somebody had to make a major disclosure of forgery and thievery. Because if such amount was being or amounts, because they did it, you know, in segments, were being withdrawn over a period of 2.5 years, then they had to forge certain people's signature by all means, because those two people did not have complete authority to withdraw from bank accounts without certain signatures. So we're talking about possible thievery and forgery here. Yes, here. Those are two possible crimes that may have been, committed by the people in question. So the point we're trying to make here is that I think if the verification process proceed, because the letters that we read, these are people who know exactly what we are doing. And that's why we can't wait for the bishop to come and sit here. The bishop is now going to go into the legal aspect of this. What's going to happen? We are fully aware when he sits with us. The only thing we want him to tell us, because Lutheran needs to know who is on our committee. The bishop will definitely tell us who's on the committee. We're not going into the nitty-gritty of their work. It's going to be the committee that will come and sit here with us and tell us the nature of their work. So I want us to wait for the committee to come and tell us how they are structured and how they are proceeding with their work. Because when we talk to the bishop, our next invitation will be for the verification committee to come here and tell Lutherans how they are proceeding with the verification process. That's when question about the possible outcome of the verification process, or how it's going to be, everything will come out. They're going to let us know. But I don't want us to jump the gun right now about what the outcome is going to be, because I'm sure all of these things were taken into account by the executive committee before giving approval.
Joe,
yeah, Jerry.
I think that I was talking to Big Joe who were talking, but I think those are legal questions that both Anthony Beyan Mulbah and Councillor Jerome B. Collet raising. So they're thinking futuristically. But it is true, Joe or Josiah, that before we can form these, thinking or analysis, we need to know first what's the TOR of this committee. So I agree with you, Josiah. We need to know what's the TOR. We don't know the TOR.
Right.
So we need to know the TOR first of this committee and how to operate, because the chair of the committee herself is a lawyer.
Right.
And I'm sure if she knows for the way that the time will be wasted, she won't want to first start writing letter to accept this. They were going to advise the bishop and the executive committee up front that giving our TOR, I think we cannot go to this line, we cannot go to this level because of this, and it'll be waste of time. Because except I still be corrected, but I think I saw Anthony Central P. Howard. Is she a lawyer?
She is.
Okay, so yeah, so she's a lawyer, so she understand also the issues. And so the lawyers are speaking, and every lawyer will form their own opinion. And so you understand that. That's the first thing.
Well, no,
but the second thing
I respect them. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, but the second thing I want to know from you, and maybe Elijah and Joe Roberts can chime in, is assuming without admitting that, look, the TOR of the committee clearly shows that they are going to waste their time. You understand? And they are saying, okay, look, let us get an auditing firm. But the church already, I want to believe that the church already has an auditing firm because the books have been audited. The convention looked at audited reports, treasury reports, financial statements, all the kind of things that were audited. So then is it possible that if we have retainers of the auditing firm, can the auditing firm, that same auditing firm, be called back to conduct a process that they conducted before that were marred by fraudulent an action or reports or outcome, or we now need to dismiss the services of that firm and hire a new firm? Can in essence, can the auditing firm go back and audit itself? Because I hired PS to be. Maybe Joe can take on it before Anthony Mulbah.
Okay, guys, we'll let you guys go for like just 2 minutes each. We made a commitment. We've already gone over 2 hours, 30 minutes. You guys can take just 2 minutes. Let's remain within the 2 minutes time frame to answer the question, and then we'll make closing comments here.
Yes. First is we talk about the assets. The assets of LCA include the financial assets, human assets, and property assets. So all of those things are called assets. So the verification has the mandate to look at the entire assets of the institution. So if you look at just the letter written to the treasurer requesting for these documents, look at the list of documents from the uncover of this issue, because those documents that were requested as part of the assets items of verification was definitely going to lead to something like that. And immediately that was discovered. So let's just look at that when the responsibility and duty of the asset is huge. It's going to go to human, tangible, intangible assets, and all of those things. It's a huge work. Now the next thing for the auditing firm, I would definitely recommend that another auditing firm do a new audit, not this auditing firm. And a new auditing firm comes in and do it and do a complete total new audit. That'll be my recommendation. Not the auditing firm that has just done the audit, because this is a huge amount. We're talking about $40,000. This is a huge amount, and
from accounts that have been audited already.
The period started from January all the way to September. So many months. How come the external auditor could miss all of those things? Now you're discovering not anyone. We're talking about from January to September. That's a huge red flag for me. How confident am I with the report that they're going to come up with? Every institution tries to sometimes cover themselves up because of liability issue, because of their PRO out there, so that they can have other contracts. They also internally can try to protect that. So for my fear is that they will say this is what was given to us, but another auditing firm comes out and audit, because they will be auditing LCA and auditing them too. They also want to find out what kind of auditing framework they're using. Also, they could also be held liable for things that were not covered legally if it goes to some extent.
Excellent. Attorney?
I want to go before
Yeah,
the
okay.
Anthony come and sum everything up.
I do.
Okay, Anthony, let Elijah go. Let Elijah go. Elijah.
Let me go and then you will cover you will
Elijah,
cover
you
it
got
up.
2 minutes.
All right. You know, I kind of enjoying the conversation here today, and especially when it comes to accountability, and then people are jacking all around the place. They don't want to be accountable. Yeah, but this process is really good for our church because we have not had conversation like this happening over the years. So people have been going with impunity, going business as usual. But you see today we have people, legal people express giving their opinion as to the do and don'ts. And this is how the institution should be. So why should we be questioning the legitimacy of a committee set up by the bishop? If you look at the composition of this committee, you got legal opinions there. You got business mind there. You got accountants there. You got business consultants on that committee. So the whole committee is not just composed of bookers. The people are experts on this committee. So if people will come out and say, "Oh, it will be a waste of time," this is not a waste of time. That's what they call it, a verification. They don't say re-audit, but let's verify what we have here. Is this right? Because we're seeing discrepancy. But not even halfway into the process, now there's a red flag. Now somebody running to lawyer. Oh, I can't go to this one. My brother and sister couple. I said thank you for kind of inviting us here today. But I will conclude by saying the church got to be the church, and people got to be held accountable. If you are foreign corporate of this, you go to jail. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
Elijah, thank you for concluding, and we appreciate the fight, and that's what many people don't understand. This platform is a strange and new phenomenon in the Lutheran Church. People have not had the medium by which they can come and voice their grievances and say what's going wrong in the church. So it's really strange to people, and people are finding it difficult to get accustomed to it. But it's going to take time. We can assure brethren that it's going to take time. Everybody is going to get used to this thing. Everybody is going to like it. Everybody is going to enjoy it. This is not about one set of people. This is about the entire LCL. So yes, we will always have this show. Thank you, Attorney.
Yeah, okay. I want to agree with you, Brother Joker, on us waiting for and getting the TOR of the committee. Now, if the TOR of the committee is to inform the executive council of its financial assets and physical assets, inform the executive council, it is within its scope. Because the findings of the committee will only inform the executive council, and then the executive council can decide if they want to proceed to go with an audit. They inform their decision making.
Right.
So whether you consider that as a waste of time or waste of resources, but to have yourself informed,
yeah,
it's very important. That can be in no way, placed below the ground or below the table. So if that is a TOR, yeah, I agree. It's good to go. It's great enough. And there's another question. So keen on this, I've forgetting about
I think that
the
was
other
the
one I want
goal
to say.
of it. I think
But
that was the most
yeah,
important part. Yeah.
No, I think
yeah,
you
okay.
answered because I
So
think
I don't know if I should just give my closing statement now or wait until
You
no,
can
you
give your
answered.
closing
Yeah,
statement.
I think Joe
Roberts.
I think Joe Roberts were able to clarify the second phase of the question, whether or not an auditing firm can audit itself after having
yes,
audited. Yeah,
I want to speak on that. It's very important. Now the best practices around the world calls for an auditing firm to be changed after a period of time.
Mhm.
Best practices, because if you have the auditing firm so accustomed with the people is interacting with and everything, they become friendly, they become complacent, they mingle. So best practices will say after a period of time, you change your auditing firm. The people that come in, they are new. They want to perform adequately. They want to show what they are doing. And you yourself, you want your finances audited with a level of integrity. So best practice calls for the regular change. And in this case where an auditing firm did a report that comes out to show that there are a lot of discrepancy, that auditing firm should not be in the right position to do the re-audit. So on those two grounds, I agree with Joe, and I will advise the Lutheran Church in Labrador to have a new auditing firm doing this particular audit. I want to say in closing, thank you for having me on the show. It's a good thing to be here. I want to thank you guys for the hard work. We'll all get used to it. Like you were saying, the Lutheran Church, we get used to it. It's only as good. You fight against it, no matter you will conform with it because it's good and proceed in the right way. I want to say thank you, keep it up, and we will always be around. My sister
Before
couple,
you guys
Willie,
go, I want
Thank
to
you
say
so much. Let me
something.
confess, Attorney. You know, since we thought of contacting you to come on the show, I've been asking Willie the question secretly. I didn't ask the other folks. I said, "You think I know Mulbah?" And he said, "No, Mulbah knows you." Look, I really appreciate the fact that you came. I've known you for a long period of time, and I respect you.
Peking.
Yeah, I like your.
yes, exactly.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And we'll always
thank you,
contact you.
thank you.
Yeah, don't be surprised
Okay,
if
yeah,
we
be
have
ready.
you as our legal focal point for my Lutheran connections.
Anthony
All right.
Anthony Mulbah.
I'll be honored. I'll be honored.
Anthony Mulbah, with all due respect, once I say Anthony Mulbah, then just know for the way I give you all the courtesy. But you, Elijah Zina, very couple of hours picking them. So, but thank you so much, man. And thank you.
Hey, I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that from way back we have been your little brothers. I acknowledge that.
We will always remain committed. There's no way that I can see Josiah and Tableau and disrespect them. You guys will forever remain our senior brothers.
Thank you
so much. Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right.
And Kwapo, your debut today on the show, it was so excellent. And thank you so much, my dear. At least
that was a full blast. That was a full blast.
We are gender insensitive. We are gender sensitive. Now, like Elijah Zina, let them accuse us. So we got no gender, no female.
Many thanks to you people. Many thanks to you people, especially when you have been behind me for long. You need to come. You need to come. We've been talking.
Right.
We've been having issue here. Myself, he knows. So yeah, we've been having battering over certain things. Nah, you talk to me. They forget about everything. Come on. So I want to tell you guys, thank you. Thank you to Beyan. Thank you to Elijah. And thank you to our financial expert. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys will always be on our team, on our radar. Anytime, please. We'll call you people.
They are on speaker.
So, folks, we are kicking off the celebration of our anniversary, our 1-year anniversary next Sunday. The bishop is going to be sitting with us for the bishop hour. He's going to be updating the church. He was not able to do it last month because of his engagement. So he's going to be sitting with us for the last 2 months. He's going to be updating the church as usual in terms of where the leadership is with developments in the church. And then we will also interspice that with some conversations about, the establishment of the network and some of the things we've done during the course of the year and everything, just to reflect, a kind of reflection. So if you guys can really take note and then maybe play some calls next Sunday just regarding our anniversary, that would be highly appreciated, because we feel very proud that as Lutherans just coming together, especially the pioneers, Willie and Abel Liawali, they initiated this thing and they invited me and Jerry on board and then brought Reverend next on board. Now it's Kopo. It's very historic in our church. This is the very first platform that we have. Talking all things Lutheran and creating the opportunity for everyone in the church, irrespective of the parish you come from, the district or the preaching point or wherever or whatever the issue is open to all Lutherans at all times. So we feel very proud, to celebrate 1 year of success. So you can join us beginning next Sunday. Every Sunday going forward in November, we'll talk about our anniversary. We just wanted to let you know. And then inform the folks that next Sunday, our Lord Bishop, the Right Reverend Dr. G. Victor Patmore, is going to be sitting with us here again to bring you the regular update that he brings the church. So hey, we'll look forward to meeting you next Sunday. Willie, we can take us. We take couples. We take Jerry. Then we close for the night.
Listen, I'm so proud. You know, when Jerry said you are my picking there, you know, it takes me back, and I'm becoming emotional now that
Willie, don't intellectualize this thing. Agree that you want to hit into that.
No. I'm going somewhere, and if you guys would kind of like bear with me just a little bit, it kind of reminds me of my dear friend and brother. Yeah. Beyan, man, appreciate you guys too for coming, man. Elijah, thank you guys for coming. Oh,
yeah. Willie, I know Judomo was the kind of guy who kind of brought you on his media. The media. Yeah, but you know, I know.
Hold my hands. Oh,
it's okay, Willie. It's okay, Willie. We understand. It's okay.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Cherry, you want to take it from there? It's okay, Willie. Willie, it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's good to let it out, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Someone just took all the shots, so and you know, I'm not surprised that
I'm okay, man. I'm okay. I mean,
yeah. Well, you can. You were saying Bishop said he wanted to get a benediction.
He said that. He said he was willing to give us the benediction.
Let Bishop come on and give the benediction, and we go home. Okay. You send a link to Bishop.
I send a link, but maybe I can just.
No, you can call him. Just call him.
Call him on the phone.
Mm-hmm. He's available. He's available. Bishop, we're listening.
Yeah.
I'm on the phone already.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, hello. We're listening. Yep.
Okay, let me say thank you to all of you on the show tonight.
Will they bring the phone to the microphone?
I want to say thank you, and I want you to get it. So let me just pray. I'll be here next Sunday. So let us pray. Can we pray now?
Yes. Go ahead.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for the frank discussion. We thank you for the frank discussion. And we pray, oh God, that you will be with us as we go through this process. Helping all to understand that we are doing it for the sake of the church. And we pray, oh God, that you bless all of us as a church and lead us through. Now may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit abide with us now and forever. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much, Bishop. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for having us.
Okay, guys.
Thank you all so much.